Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Welcome back to Midwest R6. I'm Piercing. I'm here with Kevin with the K. And have you missed me? I've missed you. Or have I? No, I definitely have. It's been a minute. Tell me, Kevin with the K, how are you doing? It's good to cast with you again. It's been a minute, hasn't it?
It's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've casted for Midwest R6 myself, but I'm super happy to be back this week and casting with you. Last time we did this, we had some technical difficulties when it was just you and I casting. We luckily haven't run into a lot of that same stuff over the course of the season, but we haven't been together for that time. So that means the audience hasn't gotten the best experience possible. So you guys came on a good night.
Oh yeah, a very great night because we're gonna be giving it our all. But speaking of technical difficulties, because I'll tell you one thing, I could not read much of the production notes. It was really hard with all of the quality issues. But you know what? I don't have a problem reading. It reads. Let's do it. First kill. Watch out for tonight's first kill, presented by Blue Light. Blue Light helps gamers enhance their performance while protecting their vision. Their specialized glasses protect eyes from blue light risks while maintaining necessary screen time and display preferences, ensuring both eye health and optimal gaming. Ready to show off your insane or clumsy highlights from your Midwest R6 match? Send them to @MidwestR6 on Twitter and Discord to potentially be featured. Top 5 is presented by MSI USA, the official partner of the Midwest R6 League. Make sure to mark your calendars for December 2nd. Midwest R6 is collaborating with K9s for Warriors to raise funds to train service dogs for veterans suffering with PTSD. The charity event will include 16 teams from across 9 different states in an all-day online tournament. We cannot wait to see you there. Ready to find out who will be the champion of Season 3? Who will take the crown of Kings of the Midwest? The grand finals will take place on December 14th here at the Midwest R6 Twitch page with fun added bonuses to come. Midwest R6, your home to collegiate R6 in the Midwest region. Oh, don't you love ad reads, Kevin with the K? Aren't they great?
I do. I actually think that these are some of the more tasteful ad reads across the different leagues. It's stuff that you can get behind. It's stuff that really appeals to everybody. I myself am wearing blue light glasses. I have dogs. I know that, a lot of different esports events around the nation, especially around this time, are doing a lot of things to help support, I want to say dogs, but in this case, veterans as well. So it's really great to see. And it's stuff that you can definitely just kind of sink your teeth into, no pun intended. And then obviously, like the grand finals coming up, it's all good stuff. I love these.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And it especially speaks for me for fundraising for canines because well, I don't know how many people know this. I'm actually in the military myself. I'm a generator technician in the US Army. And so yeah, it definitely speaks to me because I see the PTSD some veterans have and it's rough. It's hard to just get by every day. So full support towards canines for warriors and I'm really looking forward to that charity event. I think that's going to be something special that everyone can get behind, like you said. But with that being said, I think it's time to go over our teams and what they've got cooking for us.
Let's
All right,
do
shall
it.
we begin? We'll let you kick that off, Kevin, with the K.
Starting with Illinois, we have UIUC's roster lineup right now. We have Rainy, we have Ent, we have Zofia, and we have Saber completing the lineup. And then we're gonna move on to our MVP. I'll let you take this away.
Yeah, so our MVP for the team, that's gonna be with a 1.63 KD ratio, 0.87 KPR, 55 SPR, with 174 total kills thus far, and a 46% SRV. Not only a team player, but a player that can really get the job done when they need to. And before we go into the next team, let's look at some quotes. We got a quote from our MVP on Illini Orange, and that is, I love my mom. Hey, you know, I love your mom too. I'm sure she is a great person. And while we're on that note, can we just get a huge appreciation for all the mothers of all the team players here that were able to make it tonight? Where would you be without the love and support of your mothers? I'm just
Absolutely.
saying. But with that little bit of banter out of the way, let's take a look at our other team for tonight, Ohio State Gray.
Ohio State Gray's lineup tonight is going to be Toaster, Mamba, Nateflix, Zjock, and Ebalo.
All right. And for our MVP as well, we're going to have Nateflix with a 1.46 KD, 0.96 KPR, 55 SPR, 133 total kills with a 35% SRV. Again, another team player that can get the job done when it calls for it. Possible clutch masters to watch for this upcoming matchup. And a quote from them as well, from Toaster, and that is going to be, I also love my mom. What a coincidence. I also love your mom too. Your mothers must be great people to bring you where you are. So give your thanks. Because I believe Mother's Day is, I don't know when it is. I'm going to be honest. I'm not that good of a son. I'm sorry.
He loves other people's moms, just not his own enough to know when Mother's Day is, I suppose. I'm kidding, of course. Piercing's mother, we all love you, and I'm sure Piercing loves you the most of all. That aside, we have our map pick bans. I'm not even going to let Piercing harangue me for that one. I'm sorry, that was not tasteful. Let's go into the map vetoes we have already completed.
All right, so with that being said, our first pick for Illini Orange going to be Oregon, with following up with Chalet and Cafe. Gotta say, we're looking at very standard map picks, especially this far in. I'm kind of surprised. Now, of course, Cafe being the decider, I think, is a bit more tasteful as far as, popular picks. It's not quite as popular, still very common, but not as common as, the infamous trio, which is Oregon, Chalet, and Clubhouse. So tell me, Kevin, with the case, why would we still be seeing maps this popular, even though it's pretty much tried and true, played and played again? You would think we would see more, or I guess you could say less popular maps to really show out those strats. Is it possible that those maps, while popular, could be where the strats are? What do you think?
So I'd like to say that comfort is usually king in these situations, especially when you get later on into the series. So, kind of going down like how the pick ban worked, Skyscraper and Nighthaven were the first two bans, which is like pretty standard. Those are two of the least played maps in the entire league. Honestly, globally, probably at this point.
Yeah.
If an option is given, Bank and Border were banned afterwards. Both teams have about the same amount of experience on both. And I just have to imagine that they banned those maps out so that both of the teams were forced to pick one of the popular big three, like you were talking about, so that they would basically be forced onto their comfort pick. It was basically defensive bans as opposed to offensive bans in that way. So then UIUC picked Oregon. They're tied for the most Oregon plays this season at 6 games, which is two more than their opponent. So it makes sense for them to pick their like biggest comfort pick. And then Ohio State picked Chalet, and they have 2 more games of experience on that map than UIUC. So that made sense is the other pick as well. And they pick it every time, from what I understand as well. When it's available, they always like to go Chalet. They've got really good strategies. They're very locked down on that map. And then, the next two bands came in, and it was a 50-50 toss up at the end between Clubhouse, the most popular map played, or Cafe. And I think that when you get to that decider map, you can't just keep going for comfort over comfort over comfort. And going to Cafe, I mean, I hope we get to see a map 3 because I want to see a little bit more of what different teams bring to that map.
No, absolutely. We don't get to see those type of maps as often anymore, and I would love to see a change of pace in that regard, like you said. And I mean, yeah, no, that makes sense. Have your comfort maps. Make sure you secure at least one map. I hadn't really thought of it like that, so yeah, no, I mean that makes sense if you want to just make absolutely sure you can get that one map. But I mean, when you ban in such a way that you're getting all of the dicier picks, where if you have a map strat for you could particularly have an edge, especially on maps like Nighthaven. That's a little tip and trick for you guys, for those who play competitive. Learn those less popular maps. When you have ban control, by knowing those less popular maps, you pick the pace for what map is played, not the other team. Especially on a time constraint, that is even more dangerous, especially for leagues like the Midwest R6. So that's my little tidbit for you as someone who's been a team manager, a competitive player, and right now a caster. It's a powerful tool that I don't think is exercised enough.
I 100% agree. And especially in this matchup between Illinois and Ohio State, they are almost neck and neck in game experience on every other map aside from the two that they picked. I mean, they have like
Yeah,
no
absolutely.
experience with Skyscraper and Nighthaven, or 1 game on Skyscraper each, 1 game on like Border each. It's so neck and neck across the board that if you had that little edge up of having a strategy for one of the lesser popular maps, right? Like, let's say what was available, it was Consulate, and well, I guess Consulate was kind of the only odd one available after the other two map picks were decided. You
Hmm.
could have locked in Consulate. I mean, nobody wants to lock in Consulate right now, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
If we went with the first map bans, if you decided instead of banning something like comfortable or forcing your way into a comfort pick, let's say you left Bank open, for example, that's a really polarizing map that you can force strategies on, especially with it being, I want to say, one of the more uh, lopsided maps compared to the rest of them.
Yeah, no, it's got a bit of an attacker-sided bias from what I remembered based off statistics, though. I feel free to correct me if that's not the case. But yeah, I mean, that was something that I did back when I played for Bradley University with my team. What we would do is we would intentionally learn one of the least played maps, Skyscraper. So if we went up against a team that by all means we probably should have lost to, like Purdue, we would have at least that map to initiate a major upset, because when it comes to the neck and neck maps like Clubhouse and Oregon, we probably weren't going to win that, unfortunately. Like, we put a lot of effort in, and as everyone, all the teams in this league do, but unfortunately we just weren't really there as far as like our pacing on attack. So we knew on those maps we would lose or had a good chance to, so we tried to go for Skyscraper. And when we did do that, I might be mistaken, but I believe it was really close when we played against Purdue on that map. That was our best shot. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, but still, that was the idea anyway. Either that or it got banned. I can't remember. I know it didn't work out, but I mean, just having that, freedom to ban maps as we please, on top of the possibility of outright playing it, is just, it's so, so strong. Now, obviously, that isn't as powerful in Challenger League and Pro League because you're going to know every map in the pool, but still, I mean, you can still abuse that if you're noticing trends where teams are not wanting to play a certain map and get them to play a map that's below their 50% win rate, even if it's not their absolute worst, by keeping it on the table.
And as we wait to get into the game, I want to expand on that even further. If you are somebody that's in one of these leagues, in one of these collegiate leagues, and you go out of your way to learn a map that's less played, it doesn't even necessarily need to be like a super unorthodox map, right? Let's say Night Haven's got a fairly like normal structure to it as an overall map, even though like the strategies and the internal organs of the map are a little bit more complex, or I guess just polarizing in that way as well. If you learn a map like that, even if it gets banned, that means that there's another map in the rotation that is not commonly played that's probably going to get picked. And what that also means is that your team is going to be a lot better at adapting. There's a much better chance that your team is going to understand how to play fluid mechanics and rotations throughout any given map. And especially when it comes to figuring out your opponent's play style, even if you can't put them on the back foot with your own map pick, you'll be able to understand their patterns a little bit more because you recognize across all different maps, or across different types of maps that are less commonly played, what options are available to you to implement.
Hmm. It's all about reading the teams and keeping that counter in mind. It's the same thing with bands, right? Watch the VODs, see what the teams are playing. A lot of teams have a very standard composition, right? And they will pick operators that are not really banned off the meta because a dependency can backfire and that's easily identifiable, but will go for something that is not as banned. Like, for example, OSA, right? A lot of teams depend heavily on playing passive and using OSA to force their way through dangerous choke points. If you ban that on a team that's heavily dependent on that, and you can spot that through VODs, it's over. I mean, that's their front line gone, basically. I mean, just things like that you can know. It may not seem like it has that big of an impact, but trust me, read the team's patterns and come up with counters. That is going to make or break your matches. They are so important, especially when you're on an even playing field, because what separates a good team from a great team is a counterplay. And the easiest way to get counterplay, read your enemy.
Absolutely. Yeah, research is primarily most important thing. And to speak to what we already spoke about, not to beat a dead horse, but the more research that you do, the more you'll be able to recognize those patterns in game and be able to condition your opponents to act certain ways, or to force them into situations that they're less comfortable
The
in.
mind
So,
games.
absolutely. Mind games don't just exist in fighting games, they exist in all games. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely think that's the best way to approach any sort of competitive PvP. That said,
Absolutely.
I do want to mention that we have a substitution coming in. Rainey is not playing. Rennie is not going to be participating, I believe, this evening, and instead for the side of Illinois is going to be replaced by Celine.
Mm. So, yeah. So, with that being said, we're going to be still delayed just a little bit further, but once that sub is completed, we'll be good to go. Oh, I stand corrected. They already got the sub in, and it looks like we're going to be starting the match. So, let's get into it. Big old map of Oregon. In fact, I believe it is Oregon. That is the map that is based off of the Waco raid conducted by, I believe it was the ATF.
I
So yeah,
see.
it's a map with some real life history to it. Not some fun history. I mean, it was a very controversial and deadly raid, but
Um,
still based off of a real siege that occurred in U.S. history. This was a real event that occurred.
that's very interesting. I didn't know that. I love that history. If you have more, pepper it in.
Yeah, Cafe is a similar map as well, and since that's one of the deciders, Cafe is actually based off of a hostage situation that occurred. Now, granted, the Russians didn't exactly handle that the greatest at all. They used a gas to render the hostage or the hostiles unconscious, but because it was inside, the concentration was too high and it suffocated people. Yeah.
Yikes. That's history for you. If you guys want to hear some of the most messed up stuff like that's ever happened, I mean, war in general is going to be a great way to find out.
Yep. But with that being said, our history now concluded. We're going to go over the bands a little bit. We've got Osa, Ying, and Fenrir. Looking at some pretty standard bands once again. Do you think we're going to see a zombie band? I mean, do I really got to ask that question?
You got to. I mean, on all of the big three maps, I think you kind of have to. There's just too much weird exploitable stuff that if any team is even lightly practiced on, even if you're not, I mean, the adaptability that it provides, and I guess it's still going to stay open with Mira. I mean, being a common ban, but honestly, I don't know if it's worthwhile. Oregon has some decent setups, but I don't think it really affects how you attack other than how you choose to attack like kids and just that upper floor.
Even then, like, the most danger that it presents is probably basement over by kitchen or looking in the
Right.
kitchen hall, looking at bunker. But I mean, that's so common. I mean, is it really that dangerous? I
Right.
mean, with a warden in tandem, yes, but I mean, otherwise it's not that bad, really. I mean, you can always just rotate, twitch. I mean, there's so many more options nowadays. I think they also released a patch to where Callie and Ash can shoot them out, but that might not be in effect yet. But I do believe that is
Correct.
another nerf that's coming out. So, I mean, is it really that strong? I really can't say, at least not on Oregon.
No,
But regardless.
I agree with you 100%. Now, OSA is that kind of ban that you spoke about a little bit more, how it kind of prevents that sort of passive walk-in gameplay. And I guess Ying is also very similar, instead of it being a passive but an aggressive walk-in gameplay, forcing your opponents to search for more information actively. Yes, you leave the Dokkaebi open, but it's not as useful on Oregon as it's going to be on other maps.
No, absolutely not. The best case scenario is that Dokkaebi snuffs out somebody that's just sitting, you know, lurking, waiting for that push. But I mean, other than that, I don't know. I wouldn't really trust Dokkaebi unless you're trying to do a full top down on a basement site, which it doesn't really look like we're going to be seeing here. And we don't even have Dokkaebi. And we already have a first pick here, as Saber has been taken out by Toaster, playing very aggressively there by Freezer. Really able to take one so early on, but so far trying to get some kind of push up into Pillar. Does get a little bit of damage onto Mamba there, but so far still held back. A lot of presence over by Bunker, but despite that, we will see Lost able to take Mamba. That peeking from Pillar just proving a little bit too aggressive there. And still a lot of slowdown from UIUC here. Not a lot of movement, but with even picks and a warden out of the way, who's a major nuisance for smokes, this just exponentially increased the success chance of execution for UIUC here.
100% agree with you. We are seeing that basement first defensive map area selected, and with that comes an interesting question where if this comes to blows and it becomes, back and forth a little bit, and they're able to get to site. Oh my goodness, what an angle though! I love that vault angle.
Classic.
Essentially, what information is going to be given away by choosing basement first over, kids' dorms?
Pretty much, it tells them exactly where they're going to go next. Basement's such a default pick, and it's going to allow more time to adapt for the next round. I mean, a lot of people see basement for Oregon as kind of a given, while second floor is a bit more contestable, so it just gives more time to kind of plan out, and it also gives them information about how the defense is played to give them a better chance of success. We're going to see the peek out from Toaster, not going to pay off, a bit too aggressive, as C-Line will be able to take that one. 49 seconds remaining. Be able to counter that aggression. Now turning the tables as Zufia will be able to take Ebo. Only one more, but the push from the hall thanks to Zoc will be able to take him out from the hall. Down but not out. But this is going to leave a tricky situation for Zufia here. Going to have to either go for that res or try to take this pick. Going to try to go for the pick. Goes for the swing, but the headshot from Zoc. Able to shut it down for a clutch on the 1v2 there. That first round going to be going to Osu R6. Or, oh, yeah, OSU. I don't know why I said it like that.
Zjock looking like a sniper with that gun right there. I mean, just very sharp shootery on the flick, which is what you have to do when you're getting swung. And honestly, I think from Zofia, that was kind of a good decision, right? You know the weapon that your opponent has, and theoretically, your best case scenario is to go for a hard, tight swing and go for a spray headshot, or even just like a 3-4 bullet body shot kill, because the opponent is relying on being able to either hit a headshot or hit 2 quick body shots in rapid succession in our health situation. So it was the right choice, but unfortunately they were not expecting Zjock to be on it today.
Yeah, no, he went really killer there where it mattered the most, the last second to do so. And I mean, that pick from Freezer was so vital to having a chance there. I mean, you had a lot of control over by Freezer, but by being able to clear that out without a refrag, I mean, it's just aggression at the right time is really what it was. Being able to deny that before UIUC really had a chance to consolidate and pinch out. And on a site like Basement, when you have a person disadvantage and the attackers are right at your doorstep, it's really hard to push out that pinch. I mean, you can play infinite tug of war until, you know, the defender inevitably over pushes it, and then, you know, the wraparound, the bait and switch, what have you. I mean, same idea, really.
100%. We do have the Azami pick finally coming out here and seeing what type of value we're going to be able to provide. I like this deployable shield, very classic.
Yeah, you see that a lot, but you do have the head-eye holes going to contest that shield, and that could be major in giving an opening to push the break room, but we still have Omai as well holding that angle as well, which is going to give a little bit of difficulty in actually getting that push in. But with the proper information, the proper utility spent, this could be a huge opportunity by having on the repel there. But if he gets caught out, that could be a much weaker push. Oh, there goes one. Z-Jock able to pick out Lost from the window there. Just really weakening that potential to push this out here, as there's still one over by the window. But C-Line will be able to catch Ebo here. Ibalo looking a little bit better on getting that better in control, but still, Z-Jock still contesting that angle, but will fall back. There's the opportunity for UIUC to get in and take that space. A very difficult area to contest.
Almost going Basement for a very, very wide flank. I wonder if we're going to be able to see anything come out of this. Obviously, that's going to be a loud one.
Yeah, it's very possible that we could see a lot of impact out of this, but right now, I mean, the push is mostly already underway from above with a lot of players over by bedroom now, and we're going to see Azami get spotted here over by split, but there's still another one lobby. Is Z-Line ready for this? Oh, but she is able to take Mamba, who just wasn't quite in the right position to take that fight, but despite that, Z-Jock able to get a triple kill onto Zofia there. Now 2v2, we're back to that close situation. Z-Jock holding a very close angle, tries to go for a pre-fire, not going to be able to connect though, still denying off the breach with the diffuser in hand over by Dormant Hall. The nade going to be able to catch him out thanks to C-Line. Oh, now all up to Nate here, still by White Stairs, catches one by the stairs, the breach jump comes through, it's all up to who's already onto site, still has to grab the fuser though, before being able to get the plant down, does grab the fuser, 20 seconds in hand, starts to initiate the plant, Nate going for the push, tries to stop the fuser, the swing comes out instead, 15 seconds left on the clock, almost had the plant down, not gonna be able to do that, tries to go for a flash to push him out instead, but opts to throw the flash down to White, get just the right opening, go for the plant. Nate expected a push, not going to be able to deny the plant as it does go down. 40 seconds left, clock is ticking. It's now do or die. Nate still looking for him, but going to reveal himself, gets knocked out on the body shot, giving away his position for Nate to take the second round for Osu. Very close round, even closer than the last time, but still not enough.
Had the right idea there, throwing the flash in the stairwell. You hear your opponent run away. You don't decide to waste time to swing the angle when you might not be able to get the shot that you need before they turn the corner. And instead, using the audio muffling to get the plant down quickly, knowing that they're leaving, and allow yourself to get positioning behind the key by barrier. That said, going for that really wide swing because you didn't want your opponent to take space around the bunk beds, I think is a mistake. You have all of the safety of the key by barriers that you would need. You know the opponent doesn't have any utility to flush you out, and all you have to do is play audio, go for head peeks, and play ring around the rosy if you need to, but ultimately I don't think you go wide there.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I just got a call from family. You know how that works. But anyway, we're now going to be seeing a move onto first floor. Also, I kind of slandered Ohio State's name there. I'm sorry. I'm so used to just going by the abbreviations. That's my bad. But yeah, Ohio State still, like you said, able to pick up 2 rounds, still doing very well. But but the problem is these rounds have been very close. All it takes is for UIUC. All it takes is for them to get that 1 round. I'm telling you, the momentum's there. These rounds have been so close, but they just can't finish it out. I mean, everything up to the execute has been so good, but when it comes to the actual execute, it's always so close, and they just can't quite stomp it out. And that's kind of where their problem is kind of figure out how to say that. Oh my gosh. Mamba with the aggressive spawn peek, waiting for the van prop up. I mean, that's what happens when you get too comfortable with that vault. I mean, it's it's deadly. You know, holding that door just enough to where you can't see it from outside until you're already there. But hey, you know, that's what happens. Over comfort brings, you know, unexpected plays like that.
We are having to see that addressing the first floor, but look at this angle being held. Lost got a little bit damaged there, only just a light little bullet in the side. Nothing too crazy, but does give the information away that Mamba is holding in the attic hall.
Yeah, so far, sitting pretty comfortably, able to hold off in attic. Not a lot happening in that regard, but we do have Zofia already holding by the breach, or the wall, able to clear out one attic, but not before the refrag. That's going to be Toaster over by... never mind. Getting cleared out by Saber over in White Stairs, but still another one. And that's going to be Ebola holding by attic here, just waiting for the right moment. But do they know? They do now with the drone spotting her out. Now going to be stuck. Going to be forced to either fall back or commit to this fight, despite them knowing very well exactly where she is. And whether this pays off, it's hard to say as they begin their pinch. Oh, but the swing during the flash. But Saber able to catch her out without allowing her to get away here, finishing her off as she tries to crawl to the hatch. Yeah, that's not going to happen. The bleed out and the pick to finish her off, but not looking too good so far despite the refrag. Still a 1v2 here, and gonna have to drop down to first floor eventually. But here's the thing, first floor is a bit of a split up map, so he does have an opportunity to come from an unexpected angle, but here's the problem. Ohio State has the ability to do just the same.
I love this, though. They were playing 1 on first floor and 2 to 3 on second floor before everybody started to drop like flies, and then the second that they got one attacker remaining, they moved both of their people back down to the first floor so that Saber has to be uncertain about where people are. They can hold tight angles, they can go for these quick head peeks, and then group up as soon as they get information. Saber is Thatcher. They're going to be loud walking into any room that they're in, and now with the pump fake going to go down on the defuse. Oh, just trying to commit because pros don't fake, but maybe you should have. Saber going down and Nateflix closing out the round.
I mean, there's just no information. What can you really do there? And especially with how much little time was there. But yes, Ohio State doing such a great job of holding above. That top down really collapsing for UIUC. I mean, they were looking decent with the information at first, but I mean, the support was all there. Ohio State had all the backup they needed, where even if you lost a player, right, it didn't really matter because of the follow-up, right? And the follow-up is what they did so well and allowed them to pick up a crucial advantage. But like I said, it was still a winnable situation, in my opinion, just because how split up it is. But I can see what you're saying with how difficult it can be to get somebody to give up some information about where they are. It's a very tough take for a 1vx when you don't have good information, which from what we can tell, that was unfortunately the case for Saber. And
to your credit, I think that still could have been doable, but you have to pump fake the defuse. I think you had a little bit of time to do that with, and hopefully, you know, at least bait out some information from the defenders, and then push that person or, you know, rotate off. Obviously, you don't have tons of time, but it was doable. To your credit, I just think that maybe it wasn't done the right way.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. I mean, that little bit of information would have been so crucial, it just wasn't there. And I think that's really the key difference between these teams here, is how they go about their information, right? Like we saw Azami, right, playing very cautiously, waiting for to give away where he was before finishing him off. And then again, we saw a lack of that, unfortunately, for UIUC, sticking to plant, not using that to get information. It's really about who's giving away information here. Perfect pre-fire there. But like I was saying, it's about how much information you're giving away. And unfortunately, it's UIUC who's giving away too much information for Ohio State to act on. But as I say that, trying to make a bit of comeback here, taking his first pick onto Toaster there as he makes his way over to dining area, trying to get that first floor clear. But so far, it looks like everyone's back onto site, or at least in close proximity. So with the current setup, UIUC has full reign to get whatever setup they need, but with Mamba still trying to creep up blue stairs, could still be a bit of a dangerous situation without proper accountability there. I mean, it just really depends.
hatches are still available to be taken, and that's the issue with playing all of your defenders on first floor this early into the round. With 2 minutes remaining on the clock, they still put everybody on first floor with nobody roaming above, so all of the hatches can be opened pretty much for free by the Hibana, and they have all the time in the world to close in around the defenders right now. So let's see if OSU can, make something out of it. Are they holding far enough and wide enough on first floor that it won't matter? Or is Mamba just that much of a maniac that they're going to be able to take out all of the attackers before they can make it happen? Sending one to first floor, though, is showing a lot of value.
Ooh, but not before Mom was able to get shut down, before doing even more serious damage. But I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the point still stands that that's going to slow down UIUC losing a player like that, because what has Ohio State done in situations like this where they take initiative? There's usually another one, but this time there's not. However, it doesn't seem that UIUC really knows that. Still going for that setup, but there's gonna be that paranoia that at any point just another Ohio State roamer could just pop out of the corner. And with 30 seconds, they really don't have the time to really fully account for that, as they gotta get that setup going. They're running out of time. And as we've seen in the past, execute at the last second usually breeds disaster for a side like this. So whatever they do, they got to do it fast. Flash is coming out, starting to see the push down blue stairs. They're going to get that pillar control. We're going to see Hatcher up as well, but not before the Nitro takes one. Nate with another out to Zofia. Going to get Nate as well, trying to deny that pillar push. Still pushing up regardless, able to take out one and another to clutch out the round. UIUC for the first round in a very aggressive push, thanks to the MVP thus far.
Yeah, is it too late to call a play of the game, or too early rather? Because that was absolutely nuts. Got an early kill that really set them up for success for the rest of the round. Pushed all of the defenders back to the basement because they're, trying to reconsolidate. And then with the 30-second push left and no information on the basement floor, is able to run in and just mow them down without any sort of setup whatsoever. That was incredible.
Yeah, that push absolutely threw off Ohio State. It seemed like they were doing good repelling them, but you had that one rogue element able to push up, and I mean, it just downhill from there. I mean, you had no time to reposition for such an aggressive push, especially one from such an awkward angle, because you have no one to cut off cut that Hall off. You already had players over by Kitchen already pushed out, Laundry already pushed out. So who can watch that? And the answer is nobody, except for Cade there, and he wasn't able to do it. And I pose a question for you before we move on to this next round, though. With UIUC calling a timeout there, why do you think that is? That's very unusual for a team on attack to call a timeout after their first attack win. What do you think UIUC is planning here? I've never really seen that before. That's very unusual.
It could have been pre-queued based off of how the round was going, but also what might be even more the case is that they weren't comfortable winning that round based off of getting a good position. They wanted to have a more solid game plan on that attack. And then assuming that the defender's going to go back to the same site, it makes sense to, reconsolidate, figure out what is the better choice that we should have done to make that round work. Now, that said, one of the things I think that could have been really valuable, and something that UIUC seems to be bringing this time, even though the floor is, back to the top, is claymores. They didn't have any claymores available on their team, and if they had set some up on the stairwells, they could have at least gotten information on the warden roaming up, saved themselves a kill, and then pushed in faster. They wouldn't have had to have been as worried about the rotates through each of the stairwells. Even if they only brought 2 claymores, that covers 2/3 of the ability to roam up from the basement.
Yeah, I mean, that roam can really be a problem, and it seems to have been a case, or at least in that case. But one thing I want to point out is that statistically speaking, when you call a timeout, you have the team that calls the timeout usually wins that out. And I think that could be another avenue for UIUC, is that they don't want to go back to the drawing board by losing another round. If they can keep that round, then they know whatever they're doing is working, and they have that room for error to continue to pick up more rounds, because this is a site that you want to go on a 3-3 split if you can manage it, especially if you have your defense really locked up. And Ohio State had it really well, but does UIUC have it even better? Then that's a question for the other half. But if they do, and they're able to even those rounds out, Ohio could be the team that's in trouble here. Gonna see Mamba fall back early over to the basement stairs there, but they're gonna know where he is based off of that drop. That could be a problem. However, we will see Z-Jock gonna get taken out thanks to once again taking some high value picks, getting out an active utility player, a nade from C-Line, able to take Ebola as well. Looking a little rough for Ohio State as this is a massive turnaround, but here comes the flank, pushing up main stairs, able to catch. Oh no! No! Whiff from Mamba! The SMG-11 was just too much recoil. No! That flank was so good. Zofia taking another C-Line, finishing it out. UIUC for a flawless round. That's not how you want that to happen. Oh man.
That was a rough kill, and then obviously, like, Celine, enjoy those frags while you have them, right? That's not gonna last forever. And they brought, I think, 4 frag grenades into that round, which gave them so much ability to pressure from underneath. And then in the case of Celine, across multiple rounds, I think 3 rounds, Celine has gotten a kill with a frag grenade already. So I mean, good on Ubisoft for recognizing, the power level of that utility, despite some people being upset that it's going to be nerfed into the ground. I think it's probably the right choice for the health of the game.
Probably, yeah. I mean, just the amount of nade spamming that you see, and it also kind of, also relieves the pressure off of Jaeger, to have him all the time, or at least very often, because that's the biggest thing, right? Is what is Jaeger best for? Catching nades, because you can time it and instantly kill somebody. And when you don't have to deal with that, that just allows you to better hold your angles without the fear of getting flushed out. Or at least it gives you an opportunity to fight back. That's what it is. It's not oh, I don't have an ADS, I'm just dead now with the information course. Now you have at least an option of, oh crap, here's a nade, I gotta figure something out. So yeah, I think it's a good change. But we are gonna see this a move back onto basement, but considering how the last time played out, I'm kind of scared for them. Yes, I mean, they for the most part denied to push, except for able to sneak up through the hall. But I mean, what do you think, Kevin? Okay, do you think that it's gonna that's not gonna be enough, and they're gonna be able to deny the push from UIUC, or do you think there's more kind of speaking to how their attack has improved at least enough to beat out Ohio State for 2 rounds and possibly another?
I don't think they can get comfortable yet. I mean, the last round was the only round that it looked like they were really together and measured, taking basically a flawless round. But the round before that was honestly a fluke, and that was the basement attack round. So they really need to come in with some sort of adaptation. They can't rely on whatever momentum that they got from attacking kids in game room. They have to come in with a better game plan than they did on the last round that they only barely won from this. And even the setup is still pretty much the same, though. For OSU, they have not changed much in how they've decided to set up this map play, and it's the same thing for UIUC, bringing the same operators. So what's the difference in strategy here?
Honestly, I think this difference is going to be how they play this out, not so much the actual utility placement. Because I mean, look at how much active utility you have. You have Wamai, Legion, Warden. I think their game plan here is really just to kind of poke at them and then fall back and not give them as much setup as we saw before. But unfortunately for Ohio State, it doesn't look like that's really happening right now, as hatches are still getting open, flank watch is getting established thanks to C-Line here. That's what I think UIUC is doing. They're calling out that aggressive play from Ohio State to throw off positioning and are cutting off that opportunity for them to sneak up. And it clearly shows with how everyone on Ohio State is boxed in. So I think it's more of just a play style rather than, utility and actual setup for Ohio State. But so far, it's not looking like it's paying off, considering how they are so close to Ohio State's doorstep and with really no way to push them back any longer as far as Rome's concerned.
39 seconds and all 5 members of both teams are still alive. What needs to happen for UIUC to get onto site?
I think what needs to happen is they need somebody to take initiative. So far hasn't happened, but we are seeing Zofia starting to push up the laundry, but that's not really a big choke point. However, Toaster will be able to catch Odd there. That's going to be a major loss on their MVP. Taking another, but the Closet player coming in to take one. Still one more player down by basement stairs, but so far, nothing really happening so far, and the feed just cut out. Outstanding. I am so sorry. That was getting really, really smexy there. Really intense. What a
That was
shame.
hot. That was looking really hot and really terrifying. I,
Oh
I
yeah.
was I was rooting obviously for I root for the underdog, and in that situation the underdog was definitely the attack team, but it wasn't looking good. The defense had all of the angles that they needed to hold, were pretty safely anchored into their position, bunkered down. Not literally, they weren't in bunker, but still they were hunkered down. And the attackers were basically trying to, like you said, have somebody take initiative, go for an entry frag, and they started to pick them apart. And it was trading back and forth, back and forth. I don't know if they had enough time to successfully flush out the rest of the defenders unless the defenders continued to peak aggressive angles instead of waiting for the aggressive push.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it could have very well backfired heavily, like you were saying there. So I mean, I don't know. It's just the thing that I've noticed, and I call this the individualism syndrome, right? And that is where you have one player trying to make something happen with no real backup, no real support, just throwing crap at a wall to see what happens. And I'm not trying to insult any of the teams. This is just something that I've noticed as a caster, right? And I feel like that was kind of what was happening with UIUC there. They didn't really have a plan or coordination for, pushing out, because they had players by Freezer. They had players by, excuse me, Main Laundry. They had everything they needed, to push out that closet player, the rotate. All they had to worry about was watching the closet head height, and they should have had a perfect opening there. And then when they get pushed back, go down blue stairs and have them sweep. But it just seemed like there wasn't really that coordination. So one player just said, screw it, I'm going to push in, see what happens. And the coordination wasn't there. And now, when it comes to individual syndrome, it can be either the fault of the player or the fault of the rest of the team. The rest of the team for not supporting that player making a move, or the player making a move and not communicating and properly setting up for success on that move. Which one's the case, I can't say for sure. That comes down to comms, but regardless, it's still individualism syndrome, and I do feel like that hurt them heavily in that round that unfortunately got cut out.
Yeah, properly setting up the round is a great way to phrase that. Yes, we're in this team deathmatch meta, this swinger being be swung meta, but it seems like the teams are taking it almost too seriously. Everybody's afraid to be on their drones when they're inside the building, right? They're afraid that they're either going to get jumped or that they need to have numbers advantage for any given gunfight, instead of looking for information in those, I would call them the second circle area. If the first circle is the site, the main site area, and the third circle is entry into the building, they're afraid to drone out the second circle, which is the choke points that allow you to get to that main site area, into that first circle, like droning through the stairwells, trying to drone through freezer, for example, to get more information on, is anybody holding in freezer, what type of destruction setup do they have that's going to make this difficult to get into, etc. So that, I think, is a big fault right now of the attacking side,
Yeah.
or I guess was the attacking side of Illinois. But now we're going for a side swap, as it does look like Ohio State as defense did wind up holding that round down.
Yeah, right now 2-4 in favor of Ohio State as we do go into swap. But yeah, I do think that there's definitely something to said about the information management. I mean, like I said, I'm more on the side of too much information was given away. But regardless, with that being said, it does look like we are ready to get back into the match. We had some difficulties with the host having access to do what they needed to as far as like resuming the game, but it looks like that's gotten figured out. So we are back into the action now, as we will start off with UIUC going second floor instead of basement, and even bringing a Solus as well. What do you think of Solus?
Piercing, you wanted information management, and Celine is bringing it. I mean, with Celine playing Gridlock for the most part on the attacking side is a similar situation, right? Information management and knowing that you cannot be pushed from a certain angle, or that somebody won't be in a certain corner, is a type of information management. But on defense, you have a lot more utility to be able to do that. And Solus is a fantastic agent for that purpose. If they can continually do what OSU passively did to them, which is deny information. And by passively, I mean they didn't really do anything. It just didn't seem like Illinois valued the information. But if they can deny the information that Ohio State may value more highly, they're going to put Ohio State in the same situation that they experienced on attack, where that second tier breaching is going to prove problematic.
Absolutely. And
Ozzy, same situation.
Oh yeah, no, I mean just so much information denial, like you said. I mean, it's gonna be difficult to get a lot of that reliable information, but not if all of the information denial is not even oriented where they're actually pushing. I mean, they know there's one over by trophy room. There's not really anything there as far as shields go. They do have the opening push up with that information. So I mean, information denial be danged if you're gonna just be pushing through a massive funnel and going one way here, which is what they're going through. And with that little bit of information, they still know enough potentially to make a play there. But we're gonna see a little bit of aggression from Lost, almost snapping Z-Jock's head off there, but barely able to miss for Z-Jock. Stay up for just a little bit longer. Saber gonna be able to get the first pick of the half, able to take Nate out on a clear, but not before Ebola finishing for the refrag there. Look, it's looking a little close for both. Oh, but the over-aggression from Lost, that's gonna cost him his life as Z-Jock finally finishes him off. Now it's looking a little bit better for Ohio State, but they still have to push through trophy, and it proves difficult as able to take Ebola. We're gonna see C-Line start to make a move back up towards the exact direction they're pushing from, and if they don't know she's there, that's gonna be disastrous. Pushes up at just the right time as Mamba turns around to finish him out. 3v2, all up to Z-Jock, and them all still over by Master Bedroom and Toaster 2, trying to pre-fire to take him out. Takes a little bit of damage in the process. 50 seconds to go. The swing out from Trophy gonna pay off as C-Line is able to catch him out during the reload. All up to Z-Jock, able to take C-Line as well in the process. Gonna be pushing up to Master Bedroom. Still got a massive funnel to go through, as well as a Rooney gate that is currently up, but still has a rotate open, able to push out, holding very passively here, except for a little bit of peaks, but the wide swing close to the door, not going to pay off. One still by Bunt, going to be able to make it to Attic there. 25 seconds left on the clock, going to have to make a move here or try to go for the plant, but he has the perfect opportunity here with how pushed out he was able to get through, getting past all of those major funnels. But over-rotating by Kids, gonna be able to spot him out and give the round back to UIUC on a very close clutch for Z-Jock there, but not gonna be enough on a very tight angle thanks to there.
A lot of good and a lot of bad of what happened there. Ohio State had all of the right idea in terms of destruction. They recognized that Illinois, yes, brought some sort of information denial and some trapping options and some kind of late game push denial as well. But the one key component of that was missing was entry denial in the form of a mute, a Kaid, or a bandit. Yes, it can be countered by Thatcher fairly easily, but you basically are forcing the attackers to bring one more agent that has to deal with that. And that wasn't what happened. So all of the destruction went over to the attackers of Ohio State. But the issue was that they had all the distraction, but they had no way to gather information beyond that. Half of their drones were gone fairly early on in the round. They had no way to press their drones in, and with all the destruction coming in as early as it did, they were afraid that they were going to get peeked or pushed, and that their destruction would not matter because the defenders have time to readjust and reconsolidate their position. So, what has to change there is that Ohio State needs to I guess prioritize the information a little bit more and prioritize playing a safer in that tier 2 circle. They just tried to push in aggressively because they felt like they couldn't find any information, and so they all pushed into sight, in that second tier circle. But it was scattered, I should say. It didn't feel like it was very together or measured.
No, it was kind of an uncalculated risk, I think is the way to put it. And, I mean, they tried to make a move. What didn't really work out, what really didn't pay off much at all. I mean, especially over by Trophy. I mean, they just did not have the fortifications they needed. Speaking of fortifications, taking a lot of flack over by Blue Stairs. 2 people swinging out of Mamba, who somehow manages to make it out alive despite that, getting a lot of pressure there. Still going to be able to maintain that real stage control. However, C-Line still holding the push out from Lion. Mamba not giving one dang as he pushes straight down Blue Stairs, calling that aggressive setup from C-Line, taking a massive pick. That's going to provide for a lot more openings with Ohio State's utility to be able to get information. But with Lost still on the board is Mozzie, that's still potential to lose drones. But with 6 or 5 still on the board, there's still a lot of opportunity to get much needed information. We're going to see a bit of aggression from these Stairs there, almost take Mamba there, but able to get out just in time, and now they're already at the doorstep, applying a lot of pressure here to capitalizing off of the fact that really Ohio State doesn't have information anymore. And with them hovering by the stairs, there's really no avenue of escape for UIUC here. They're going to have to just take the punches with what they got.
They got that first pick without any information. There's something to be said for a seize-the-moment player who's willing to press in and look for an angle when you don't have the information to make it happen. But you have to do that intelligently, and that's what they do. They denied the defenders information and are able to shove onto site and get the numbers advantage quickly. Loss is going to try to make up for it, running in as the last member.
Oh, but going to take a lot of wallbang damage. Tries to contest, but can't make it. Getting caught out by Nate. Thanks to the Grim utility giving perfect information. Wow. Grim being useful? What is this? Oh my gosh.
Oh man.
That's actually insane. That utility paid off massively there to cut him off from that rotate over by Bunk. Such a high value use of util. Something that I never would have seen myself considering my opinions of Grim. I was so excited for him, and then I hated him the second he came out. But hey, maybe this was a reason for me to come back just to play Grim, because that was the only thing I cared about, and my heart broke when I saw how weak he was. So good on Ohio State for making good use of him, and good on them for getting that information and that execute based off of that early pick on C-Line and being able to cut him off. That was great execution and even better follow-up.
Yeah, the high value brought high value for sure. Z-Jock running it back on the Grim. Let's see if they can find a lot of that same information. So here's the big thing that worked out for them. They got the early pick. I think that we don't need to overthink how that round played out. They got the early pick and said, information be damned, we have the numbers. They pressed aggressively together, knowing that the defense would probably be playing on the back foot, especially since they got to that second tier circle so quickly, right? They were on the stairwells very, very fast. They were in the, they were in the laundry storage area very, very quickly. They had all of that second tier circle collapse very quickly, and they said, you know what, we have numbers, let's just go. And they got the gunfights that they wanted. And I think that works 70% of the time.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I guess you could say, like Grim's Bees, Ohio State swarmed onto UIUC. I don't think the bee pawns are gonna I don't think they're gonna stop anytime soon. You kind of started it and I gotta finish it. But with that being said, we are gonna see C-Line lurking, instead of going for that over-aggressive entry denial, gonna be holding up by Attic, waiting for that push, because they know that Ohio State cuts them off fairly early on, and UIUC is going to try to punish that as much as possible. But C-Line trying to get aggressive, trying to find someone out or above. That could give a lot of information away and cause a lot of problems if they know there's one above. My answer, just be quiet. Don't make any noise. Wait for the execute and then get your damage on. Because if you look at the composition right now, there's not a lot for flank watch. I guess you could call Grim that, but because his bees expired, I wouldn't really count that unless you place it right before executing. I'm not sure how long the timer is. I don't know if they buffed that, but I don't know. I wouldn't trust it. Oh no, C-Line pushed down too early, got caught out, and so they lost. 2 people already down with 117 remaining. Trying to go up, Freezer, to see if he can make something happen. That's not going to be the case. We're going to start seeing the flashes. OSU getting aggressive. So is Zofia trying to swing in on Pillar. The perfect information. They know where she is. Still, or he is. Pushes him out. Gets another, but gets shut down by over by the hall. Is he going to be able to get a clutch here as another pick comes out from the TK? But the refrag on the TK comes out as is shut down. Not really a lot he can do, stuck in a corner there. As right now, Ohio State looking really good to finish this out here as we move on to match point.
Yeah, 6-3. I think UIUC needs to abandon the Aruni. It's not bringing any value other than general destruction that you can get from a different agent. The attacking side of OSU brought 9 flashes, 1 million bees, and whatever other additional throwable utility that they had to fully invalidate Aruni. Honestly, Grim alone fully invalidates Aruni without having to even use all of his utility. So abandoning the Aruni is the correct decision here for sure. It has not been providing enough value in push denial. It hasn't been providing any value in entry denial. And you're much better served by, and kind of what we talked about, pulling a bandit. This is what they didn't have the first time that they ran to kids in game room. They did not have any sort of entry denial. So they swapped out the Iruni for the bandit and otherwise are playing fairly standard. They also have a mute, so they're doubling up on the entry denial.
Yeah, they really are, but honestly, I'm kind of scared for them that they're making this move, because the one thing that I've not really seen UIC do that Ohio State has done so well is act on information. I mean, it's really how you play around your information. It's really been the deal breaker here. And now UIC is doubling down on information denial, additional info from the Valkyrie cams. All for what exactly?
Right.
I mean, great, you have more information, but are you gonna be able to take advantage of it? And that's what I'm scared of. I really can't confidently say that that's gonna be the case. I hope it is, so we get a closer match, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not confident that that is gonna be the case. I'm really worried here. I mean, what do you think? Do you think UIC will be able to pull this off and use this information to their advantage to outright deny?
I think that mute is a valuable enough operator that you bring it regardless. But yeah, I agree with you 100% on the Valkyrie. It's just another soulless option that ultimately didn't provide you much value. I agree with you. They're not acting on their information. I do like how they kind of set up their upper floor situation here, breaking open the wall on the side of game room on just the half of it to make it difficult for them to push in. They brought the entry denial and are utilizing it in a very unique way. And I'm hoping that this is measured and not just, you know, their way of trying to throw the attackers off and pray that they can't figure it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of as well for the follow-up. But I mean, it's certainly throwing them off. It doesn't seem that they really expected what we're getting right now. Oh, Saber taking a lot of damage there. And there comes the nade as well. But despite that, Saber's still able to catch out Ebola. The nade not going to be able to catch there. Still holding on to Attic. Going to be able to deny that control. Another player over by Deep Attic. Outright denying Nate there. Not going to have a lot of options. You're just going to have to rotate, as those nades will get caught by electricity. See, Celine able to take Mamba, but not before Nate. Able to catch another, get rid of the shield. Zofia still holding very aggressively by Trophy Room to deny that Attic push. Nate are not going to have a lot of options. Going to have to push out. Toaster going to be able to catch Celine. Acting a little too aggressive to hop in. Oh my gosh, Sophia able to take that. Why would you hop in there? But not before the refrag. Sejock able to get rid of him. There's now an opening in order for them to push up, especially with the breach being open. That could backfire here potentially if they take advantage of that. But with two eyes over to the breach, it's going to be difficult to push out from that if that's the route they choose. But it looks like they're going to be going for Trophy Room. But we do have a player holding there. That's going to be lost with the shotty. Holding close, taking a lot of damage. There comes a swing, and he's down. Still one more. Not out for OSU, but still not looking good. Toaster going to push up. Going to see the swing. The shotgun blast. Not going to do enough damage due to the damage fall up all the way in bunks. It's a similar situation to what we saw the last time. But how will Toaster handle this differently from when it was his time to shine in that situation? Not looking good. Oh, it is again. He's gonna be able to clutch this out. Starts to get pushed out from bunks. The swing comes in. Oh my gosh, but is barely able to hold on there. Toaster just not able to finish it out there. Almost panicked a little bit. UIUC is still alive. Still got some ways to go.
Second verse, same as the first. Attacked that same angle. We had a problem with how the defender wide swung against allowing to get the kill there. What did not do this time? He didn't wide swing. He played around the bunk bed, not even having a key buy barrier to work with, and made the correct decision, kind of how we analyzed it before, to just play ring around the Rosie as needed, force the attacker to push you with no time remaining, and then have the advantage of just information, audio, and knowing when to peek. So great stuff from to hold that down. And the defenders had a very interesting setup and a very interesting time defending that. But I liked it. I liked the initiative that they took that time.
Yeah, no, they definitely took a lot of initiative that was needed, and it absolutely paid off. But like I said, it's not over yet, as we are going to see that infamous Grim Zjock on that op once again. We know the impact that he can get. I mean, his KD speaks for itself. 13-7. Good lord. I mean, absolute heavy hitter on the team, and actually the most kills on Ohio State. So, I mean, they better deny before they can get execute, because once that execute goes down, I'm really scared for what UIUC will be able to pull off from that point. We're gonna see the bunker door already open. Guessing they're gonna be playing off of that very aggressively, which I would love to see. And another thing, and Platypus would love this. Look at what Lost is using. He's got the brick. Who uses
Oh.
that? I can't believe it. I have rarely seen that, and I've seen someone get a kill with that, which I was very upset about. Everyone knows my opinion about Supernova, or should. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. So I mean, that's ridiculous that this is even disrespecting me by being here. So I mean, I mean, if they play off the shield in the corners, we could see a lot of impact from that. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Taking a step back, what do you think about the fact that they're doubling down on their information and gameplay? They have stuck with the Aruni, first of all, which I still don't agree with, but then they've gone Echo and Valkyrie here to try to hopefully take out drones and hold down this second circle tier.
Honestly, I feel like they're just clinging on to life. If we're gonna be really honest, I think they're just clinging on to dear life. This is the only thing thus far in their defense that's worked, and it's gonna be their only option. And I think Ohio State knows this and is gonna take advantage of that, because they know they're not gonna have to see anything else, because this is their only chance. We might see a mix-up if they win this round, but here's the thing. That's an if, right? You still got 2 more rounds to go, including this one. So, I mean, it's possible, but, I mean, honestly, them going with this is more of a, this is really all we got at this point, and it worked pretty well, so let's full send it, and I think that's exactly what we're seeing. Ooh, there's the peak we were waiting for. Security able to take out Nate over by that room. That's gonna be C-Line. Now looking for another, but that's gonna be C-Line's pick instead. Able to get one, but gets a revive before the Nitro goes out. It's already a 4v2, 3v2. Mamba trying to get the damage in. Tries to swing as the smoke canister goes out. Not gonna be able to catch him though. Gonna take a little bit of that smoke damage though. 40 seconds remaining. And a 3v1, a Saber able to get Ebola out, shutting down what really was a disjointed kind of push there. Does see who's still over by the doors, not able to do anything off it. Slowly walks in, just trying to create an opening where Zofia is holding by the bomb chassis, playing this very quiet, but the wide swing, Zofia knew as you see takes yet another round. It's looking much more doable as Ohio State's really struggling. What's going on there? Why is Ohio State struggling with this, and what do they need to do to take this? I mean, granted, this is UIUC's map, but I mean, still, Ohio State's had match point for a while, and it looks like they're about to give it up.
They had what they wanted there. They did what they needed to with Z-Jock on the Grim and breaking open the hatches. They got the hatches open. They took out 2 of the Aruni gates. They set themselves up for success. And then it kind of just felt like they all ran in, right? It didn't feel like they ran in with information or with utility. 5 flashes were still available of the 6 that were brought for OSU. They didn't push with the EE1D scanning. They kind of just used it for passive information and pushing into that tier 2 circle area when they should be able to push into the tier 2 circle area without it. That said, the echo being brought from UIUC prevented them in a lot of ways from taking that control. They tried to get the back stairs, but Echo plus 1 other operator moving together with the drone to take out information and to keep them on the back foot prevented them from pushing down back stairs early on. I think they panicked and they hard pushed in, thinking that they weren't going to be able to push in passively or with passive information. Ooh, it's like
looks like we are gonna have a possible rehost here. We'll see how that's gonna be handled in just a second. But I want to just tag on to what you said there, because what you brought up means so much to me, because this is the one thing that I harp on about Echo players so much. Use your cams aggressively. Stop using them and praying that you can just use your concuss right as the plant goes down. That doesn't work. It hasn't for a long time. Stop doing it. And we saw not that. We saw those cams being used aggressively to give roamers all the information they need to do so much damage. And that is what I love about that so much. And yes, we are doing a rehost, by the way, unfortunately. But I mean, just the aggressive playing with the cams. I mean, it brought so much utility. This is the power of Echo. That is so just not used enough. And that's why I appreciate you bringing it up because it's so important.
Yeah.
So important. And it needs to be done more often. And I guarantee when it does, you're going to, and the community realizes that, you're going to see Echo's play rate skyrocket and his win rate really go up because aggression is key. And when you have perfect intel right at your fingertips, I mean, you're basically just giving a favorable gunfight every single time.
What's like, the one thing that whenever you're going to a solo queue game, or even better yet, a duo queue game, that is a tried and true strategy. You have one person on a drone, they drone into the building, and you have the other person that's not on the drone follow the drone into the building as the drone clears corners for you. That gives you information and allows you to push up to those choke points that are necessary. That's better on defense if you use the yokai drone. Just like you said,
Uh-huh.
they sent one operator with the yokai drone up the back stairs, took out the drone that was pushing in with the other attacker. The attacker was afraid, had to back off, and suddenly that entire choke point is yours. And that's,
Mm-hmm.
I think, what was the killer, maybe more quiet reason why the defense won that entire round.
Oh yeah, it was a major playmaker there, absolutely. And if they played that passively with that yokai, yeah, we wouldn't be seeing what we saw there. And Ohio State definitely would have won that out. But they're having a lot more impact on their utility than I could have ever expected, to be honest. And
Yeah.
good for them because they need it. They really need it. But still have one more round to go. I mean, Ohio State's had a lot of opportunity to adapt now. So now the question really is, does Ohio State have what it takes to adapt and respond to this? Or are we just going to see an overtime and UIUC finally take their map on overtime? And that's really the question. But
Yeah. We'll see if some of these veteran players can hold it together. But speaking of veterans, I want to remind you guys to mark your calendars for December 2nd. Midwest R6 is collaborating with Canines for Warriors to raise funds to train service dogs for veterans suffering with PTSD. The charity event will include 16 teams from across 9 different states in an all day online tournament. So please come on out, support, and make sure that you are there. This is coming up in just a couple of days.
yep, it'll be very soon on its way. And as well as that, we also are doing a little bit of a fundraiser for the Canines for Warriors event. For every shirt sold, $10 will be donated to the charity. So if you want to grab yourself one of these shirts, we've got links provided. Not sure where. That's my bad for not having that information, but we do have that as well. Check the Discord. Links will be provided if you want to get yourself one of these shirts. Shoot, I might have to pick one myself one as well.
Agreed, 100%. I also want to remind you guys that the grand finals is going to be taking place on December 14th for Midwest R6. So if you want to find out who is going to be the champion of Midwest R6 Season 3, who is going to take the crown of Kings of the Midwest, make sure to show up December 14th here at the Midwest R6 Twitch page. We have added bonuses as well to come. And as always, Midwest R6 is your home to collegiate Rainbow Six Siege in the Midwest region. So make sure to show up.
Always has been, always will be. Midwest R6 is for you, our central audience. That's what it's all about. Midwest has got to stick together because I'll tell you what, we don't get represented a lot when it comes to the global stage.
Very
Uh,
true. Very true.
yeah,
I'm myself. I'm based in Atlanta. The Southeast gets some recognition, especially with the invitational, or rather the event that was just hosted in Atlanta for R6. But I'm moving to Chicago here very soon, and I
mm,
recognize the struggles that the esports scene has just in general in the Midwest and getting recognition.
yeah. And as for me, I'll be moving to St. Louis. Yeah, I had some old family that was up in Chicago. Yeah, no. I mean, my time with Chicago is over. It's time to move on there. So, but
Mhm.
hey, I mean, it's the big city, Make it what you can because sure is a lot going on over there. I'll tell you what. And a little bit of tip for you if you're gonna be living over there. Um, good luck with traffic. You might
Yeah.
want to use like bullet trains, buses, pretty much anything except your own car. And if you do get your own car, you'll find out very quickly why you won't be getting a lot of mileage out of it. Or if you do, a lot of it's going to be wasted doing a lot of sitting still, waiting just that moment where you can inch just a little bit, rev the gas to maybe 1, 2, or if you're lucky, 3 miles per hour. I mean, it can get really busy, especially in downtown.
I'm no stranger to that. I'm no stranger to that. I'm in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have some of the worst traffic in the U.S., but we
Oh,
are going to sell our
yeah.
car because what Atlanta doesn't have is public transportation. So good to see that from Chicago. But getting back to Midwest in general, we are getting back into our game. UIUC with 5, OSU with 6, and this is the final round before overtime.
Oh, no.
Let's see. Ooh, this is
Oh,
very
no.
interesting.
I guess meeting is locked when it's not supposed to be. Uh-oh. Stinky. I mean, there's 1 round remaining. They're playing the same side. It doesn't really matter, but I mean, regardless, I hope that we don't have to reset. We shouldn't have to, but I don't think it matters because of the overtime and everything will be unlocked at that point. But we'll see. I don't think it matters, but I don't know. I don't host, okay? I just cast. And whenever I do have to host, it's usually because I have to host, cast, and do the whole 9 yards. Observe. Bleh. I hate doing that. I have to do that for a lot of smaller leagues. And let me tell you, it's not fun. But with that being said, moving on to basement. Oh, almost shot your teammate there. Lost. Get a little too crazy with the shots. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It
We're
looks
rehosting
like,
because the last 2 rounds, I believe, were won by Illinois on bedroom and basement. And so, unfortunately, the setup was that meetings was locked, and that would have been the next one that they, at least wanted to have an option to go to, and instead they picked basement.
Did they actually go first floor before the first rehost? I can't remember.
That's
but
what
if they did,
I'm struggling to remember as well.
Yeah, because if they did, then yeah, that would be grounds for a rehost. Oh no! Ugh. You know what? You know what I'm thinking, Kevin with a K?
Tell me.
I think we need a little break. Don't you?
Take a moment. I think we can take a breather as we set up this rehost. Just a couple of minutes where you all can go run to the bathrooms, not feel like you're missing any of the action, but we will be back in just a few.
Yeah, with all this downtime. We'll see you in a sec.
Bathroom dead. I'm in bathroom.
I'm gonna keep holding point.
Captain dead. Bathroom dead. I'm in bathroom.
I'm gonna keep holding point.
Captain dead.
Diffuser down closet.
Show me.
Kids are foul. Yeah, just
Below and manages to get in, and they drop down randomly.
Welcome back to Midwest R6. We have returned with the continuation of game one. We are getting everything hosted back up. I hope you had a great break. I hope you went to the bathroom. You got yourself some snacks because this is shaping up to be a really great set. I honestly think it could go the distance. We could go to game three with how close just this game one is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of scary how fast Ohio State was able to take it, or nearly take it, with it not even being their map. So, I mean, it's very possible. I mean, UIUC has had a very strong comeback here, but I don't know. It's very contestable. I mean, if Ohio State takes this, which this is their last chance to do it without going overtime, which I think if that happens, UIUC will take it. I don't know. Game 3 is looking kind of bleak, at least for UIUC. But with that being said, you want to know what I did for my break? Speaking of snacks and whatnot, you know how I spent my break?
Tell me.
Oh, I'm just messing with you. I did absolutely nothing. Come on. You think I'm going to be productive and actually do something? Absolutely not. This is all that I live and breathe for. I'm going to stand right here and wait very patiently for us to come right back.
Well, it's not up to you to do anything right now, honestly, except for Cast. Who it is up to something to do is OSU. 6-5 still, and they have I was about to say something really rude. They have an easier job this time than the last two rounds in that they're attacking one of the first floor sites. Do you think that they're going to force something, unique? Are they going to play adaptive? Do you think that they're just going to say, we understand how this is played, let's go back to our fundamentals? What should they be prioritizing at this point?
I think the biggest thing that they need to be prioritizing, honestly, is probably... that's a tough call. If I had to guess, I would probably say it's gonna be flushing out utility denial. I mean, we've seen no Twitch, no Brava. We've seen really nothing as far as, outright answering to all of this utility. And they just get caught out whilst trying to do so. And I think if they had a more secure way to kind of push off of that, they would have a better chance. And it just doesn't seem like that's really happening. So my guess would really be to, like I said, take that information, get rid of it, or use it against them, like in the case of Brava. I really think that how they answer, because that's what we've seen, right? When the intel playing field is even, and you have to play off information by your positioning and how you're moving and take and approaching fights, Ohio State wins that almost every time. But that's not what's happening. UIUC has an edge because of the information and how they're playing off of it, because they're giving themselves a boost. And I don't really think Ohio State has an answer for that, and they really haven't developed one. So if they can't really do that, I don't see Ohio State winning this, to be 100% honest. But we are going to see it get an early spot onto Trophy Room, onto Lost. We're going to be able to spot her out very early on, forcing her to fall all the way back to Domain Hall. A lot of cams on second floor. They got a pretty good idea on where everyone is. We already see Z-Jock holding by the walk-in by Closet, waiting to pick somebody off. Got an angle hold onto Attic, but are we going to see a pick there as the peaks come out? Lost getting very aggressive on the window, able to take one, waiting for the refrag, but it's not going to come. Ohio State playing this a bit passive. We're going to see a bit of tight angle peaks from Mamba and Lost, both still able to keep their heads on a swivel there. But not before another peek onto Bunks. Mamba still holding by Bunkers, but it doesn't seem like they know there's another one there. So far, not a lot of support from top down. It's just Mamba and Z-Jock, and with Castle moving up as well. Over by White Stairs. Just not a lot. Once again, Ohio State playing into their utility without really getting rid of it or using it against them. I mean, look how much information they have. The BP, I mean, there's just so much opportunity for UIUC to do some real damage here. So, I don't know. They're in a lot of trouble here, especially with the time that's been stalled thus far.
Yeah, holding top floor is definitely important to make sure that the vertical can't go down. But speaking of vertical going down, Toaster is the first one that goes down for the attacking side. And if they lose, and they lost Mamba, so going for the vert is now useless. But honestly, going for anything might be useless because you only have one member remaining, and they have to take out 4.
Oh my gosh, yeah, Lost with the triple kill there. It's not looking good. That just fell apart entirely. Like I said, it's how you deal with that utility from the enemy, and Ohio State's answer is they didn't. I mean, I'm not trying to be insulting here, but that's what happened. Ohio State just did not respond at all, and now, thanks to that lack of response, it looks like UIUC will be able to turn this around for their map, because I don't see Ohio State coming back from this. I mean, that one adaptation, you've had so long to answer to it, and Ohio State just can't do it. I mean, UIUC has been crushing it. I mean, you got IQ, you've got Brava, you have Twitch, you have so many options to respond, and no choice has been chosen. But we are going to see the shotgun blast from the hatch drop. My visibility is a little delayed there, but regardless, it's not looking for good. OSU or Ohio State lost opportunity, and I don't think it's coming back.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you there. Going into this overtime round, UIUC is starting to pull it together and make you understand why this was their pick. That was a very unique setup that they brought. They had the castle and decided to also play the Kaid with a massive priority on holding upstairs. With a minute and a half gone from the clock, all that the attacking team had done at that point was poked at their defenses on the top floor. They hadn't made any motions on that first floor. And I get that that's scary, especially when you have to deal with attic hatch and you have to deal with dorms hatch. You want to make sure that they don't just have the ability to shoot you from above, but you have to make a different decision. You have to do something differently, especially as soon as you lost Buck and you were relying entirely on whether or not Lost was going to stay alive as a sledge to continue your vert. I think you have to just change your game plan. Like, the second that pick goes down, you need to adapt differently, and it didn't feel like OSU was prepared to do so.
No, absolutely not. Also, I think you meant Toast as they were attacking, and they are attacking yes again, but I mean, the point still stands though. Like, they just don't really have an answer. And I mean, even if they got that control, like you said, all of that damage, I mean, there's really not a lot of options to play around. I mean, and like I said, didn't even get that control. It didn't even matter. And I don't see this going any better. Because, I mean, look at the composition again. Who do you see that is a counter to the intel that UIUC has? Do you see anybody? Because to me, I don't see it. I mean, I guess you have Flores to get rid of shields, but who cares when they know where you are and you don't? Does that really matter? And the answer is no, absolutely not. That is not very helpful, and it's just another show that it doesn't really look like Ohio State is adapting here. So, I mean, good on UIUC for their one simple adaptation, having such massive impact in playing it so well. I really didn't expect to have that much impact, but I can't help but say that Ohio State is not playing this well when it comes to dealing with that. I mean, once again, not able to pick up any information onto Wamai there. Zofia holding by trophy, and they have a lot of players over below with both and selling over below, and no one's responding to it. Nothing. I mean, they're sitting in very open positions pretty much for free. I don't know. What do you think here? I mean, what are we going to see, if anything?
The minute 20 remaining, it's hard to say. I think the Flores is a mistake, right? You're playing a Flores into Mute. That's already a big problem. And then you have Mute and Bandit, and the only thing that you brought to counter that, even with Thatcher up and available, is you brought Maverick. So either Maverick is going to try to open holes by themselves, which is a big problem, especially if Maverick goes down like that. Celine with the C4 taking out a crucial member, and then Zjok also getting dropped here on the ace. You have no more availability to hard breach, and you just have to rely on what? Finka and Gridlock to shove into the defenses, and that's what they're going to try to do. They're just going to try to brute force their way in, and it's not looking healthy.
No, it's not looking good, but however, they will get Zjok on the reds. It's looking a little bit better, but Saber looking to try to finish out some more picks here. Selling, able to get Mamba,
Celine.
2K, 4K! Oh my gosh! So much damage, but not going to be able to ace. Poor Saline, no! But UIC still crushing out Ohio State regardless. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Like, pushing through. It's been proven. This doesn't work. Ohio State University, you know the key word of this match is adapt. UIUC, they only had to adapt once, and they are getting so much impact out of it. It's criminal. They are stealing rounds. Stealing them with the intel that they are playing around. I mean, it is an intel ring around a rosy where Ohio State just ends up losing it out every time. Every time.
I agree with you, and I also want to take just one more moment to pour one out for Celine. Go ahead and cue up the recorded version of My Heart Will Go On. Not able to get the ace. Really tragic.
Tragic.
Really, really tragic, but what an incredible showing. Celine was just positioning so well. The gunplay was on point. I love seeing that. That was awesome. But back to your point, yeah, adaptation is kind of the key here. And OSU on defense now is setting up in the basement. They brought a Jaeger and a Wamai. They've decided to go with both because I'm assuming, are just frustrated by all of the easy breakthrough. I'm happy for myself that this is the first time they've gone basement and haven't brought in a Rooney.
No, absolutely. That's good. Getting rid of that Rooney. Because, every time what we've seen these players do, they go through stairs. They go through the hatch drops. It doesn't do much of anything. And even the ones you can place right next to site, you can break it from above. So who cares? It's not really a threat. And I do agree that is good that we're not seeing that pick anymore. But
you know what? Rooney was actually the other team, so that was my fault.
Yeah, ooh, but not before. A really nice shot on Zofia to take out Mamba. Are they going to win this out on attack here? Because it was about 50-50. I mean, Ohio State I'm sorry, I think it was a 4-2 actually. But I mean, Ohio State, they played defense really well. And right now, it's not looking the greatest as Mamba getting overly aggressive to losing one so early on. And with everyone already on site so early on as well. Granted, they got a lot more utility to hold them back, but I really don't think it's going to be enough as we see UIUC once again bringing more information. They have the Jackal as well to kind of snuff out where these players are or if they're sneaking nearby. It's going to be a lot of trouble. If they try to make a push up, it's not going to be without them knowing where that player is for the remainder of the round. I mean, those Jackal pings last so long. But we are going to see Z-Jock trying to trick this hatch, and because it's a Hibana, not going to be able to actually catch it as another one is thrown. That's going to be the electrical hatch getting popped open there. We're going to see Ebola holding by blue stairs. We're going to try to be a little bit aggressive, waiting for that push. But right now, going down through mostly laundry and freezer stairs, but they do have a lot of angles lined up to deny freezer. This laundry push is going to be what makes or breaks UIUC here. Going to be able to get information on the freezer player. Going to rotate out, but I don't think they caught that. We are going to see a botch smoke, one good smoke going through. Start to push up. They ain't going to catch the Saber here, but push, pressing on, as they do have a bit of laundry control, and with the player by the door, but the headshot peak just at the right time, able to snuff him out at the perfect moment, and there's the opening for UAC, but not before Z-Jock able to take two here, and with another one, C-Line, now the last one to finish this out here. Z-Jock able to take so many. Is he going to be able to clutch this out, or will take yet another 1vX to finish this out? I mean, they have done so well to come back here, and this is their golden ticket to finish it out, but he gets caught by the head height angle. Ohio State now in the opposite situation, clinging on, but now here's the problem. They're attacking, and they have not picked up really any attacks. So, I don't know. I mean, they showed that they have a strong defense. They did in the first half, but now we come down to their weakest point, which is their attack. And this is their very last opportunity to amend mistakes.
Yep, this is a crucial point. I wanted that match to end with getting the final kill, especially against Z-Jock. It would have been so fitting. But I really, really like this, that they're choosing to go meeting kitchen, because that defense seemed impossible to be broken through. They're bringing the same setup for the most part with the castle and the Kaid, and they're going to try to hold that upper floor again. Can OSU make the adaptation that we talked about from before? Can they either push through that upper floor faster to work on their vert, or do they give more presence to the first floor? What do you think is the best approach?
I think UIUC is now at this point in a mindset, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're going to see a lot of heavy presence from vertical. We're going to see a lot of information that Ohio State continues to miss, and there's still no information clear. Come on. Honestly, I don't know what to say, but I think they're going to get caught out again above. They're going to try to do a top-down, or they might have more horizontal presence. That's going to get crushed out by lurkers, and if they do get above, they're going to get snuffed out by extensive intel and crossfires. I really want to see Ohio State come out on top, because that would be such an upset, but they have blown every opportunity every time on attack, and I don't think this is going to be any different. I mean, their operator compositions are showing that, at least. I mean, they are getting a lot of drones, but all those are getting shot out. There's now already 4 drones down. We're seeing a lot of aggressive peeks from Trophy. Mamba trying to take that fight, pre-firing. I mean, you can see the desperation on Ohio State. They had every chance in the past when they were at match point, and now it's gone. And now the pressure is on. You can tell by how fidgety they are in their movements. This is do or die. And so far, still struggling to get inside second floor.
Getting some information off of that alarm. Seeing some, I like that angle right there. We're seeing some vertical play even from below here. A lot of unique angles that are being set up. Thorn Trap is going to be snapped. Knowing where Mamba is kind of a big deal, but the frag grenade going to try to throw it out. Now, once again, they're only bringing Maverick as their option to hard breach through. They don't have a Thatcher, and so they're not going to have a really effective way to take out the Kaid, which means they don't really have a good way to attack on that first floor. So they've got to go for the upper floor advantage here, and they're really trying to press it with only 1:10 remaining and not be in the situation they were in before.
Yeah, I mean, they've made a little bit of progress, and Nate able to take loss. Could this be the comeback we're looking for? They have Attic. They have second floor. This is it. This is the big difference that we did not see before. They didn't have this control, and now they've got it. For the first time, they've actually been able to take this to their advantage. But it's one thing to clear out, especially with such little time, but it is another thing to get and execute all together, especially with so many players on the board and with so many opportunities for one to be lurking. But that's going to be one less player as Nate gets a double kill, taking out Saline there. Now a 2v5, Toaster taking yet another as the defense from UIUC finally breaking down. Ohio State is not giving any grounds to them. The 1v5, the push up, and oh my gosh, Ohio State comes back last second, able to take this. What? I mean, oh my gosh, that was UIUC's map. Wow, talk about a very, very last second comeback there. I mean, what did we just see there? How did UIUC fall apart on their defense on the very last round? They had it when they took it to overtime. What just happened? I can't believe it.
It was honestly the best way that we could have possibly ended that game. It was a culmination of all the things we were complaining about all game, Piercing. They used their information on the drones to push into that second tier circle of the breach. They used their utility to force their way into spots that seemed difficult to break through a lot of that upstairs hold. They did not fear what happened before, where they, were going to be held out. They weren't going to be able to breach through some of like the Kaid or anti-utility, and instead went through the windows, went through the staircases, through utility, and got the picks that they needed upstairs. With the picks, they continued the momentum, did not get scared by the unknowns of where people are, did not spend too much time, trying to hold angles for information, but rather either drone or push the angles so that you can get more information, especially with a numbers advantage. And then at the very end, pulling the trigger with the 5 versus 3 numbers advantage and forcing their way all the way. I mean, they only had like one person on the actual site because all the defenders were holding off site. It was just a fantastic culmination of all of the things that they struggled with before. So in terms of adaptation, you wanted to see OSU adapt. That's exactly what they did in the exact moment where it mattered. I would have liked to have seen it earlier in the game, but they did bring it together.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you get it towards the end, that's ultimately what matters, and they did that. I mean, I was still kind of scared with how much time they lost trying to get to second floor. I feel like UIUC really should have abused that and played off and let them go into sight and then clasp onto them with the prevalent utility hat, but they just weren't able to do that. I mean, because the one thing that happened that they weren't ready for was that Ohio State actually successfully took second floor. And with that, it threw their whole plan off, clearly. Because you could tell that was kind of what they're going for. Get a little bit more control stall, a little bit more time, and everyone fall off. But at the last second, Ohio State was able to strip that opportunity and then turn that into a massive hole that UIUC could not patch no matter what they tried to do, no matter how aggressive they tried to push it out at the very last second. Ohio State was just too strong when it came to the pure gunfighting at the end. I mean, they were able to snuff them out.
Yeah, definitely no hesitation, and they just forced their way in. It was fantastic with the information, with the utility that they had, that they really executed. But that was a great map. OSU winning on Illinois' map pick, and when we come back from the break, we're going to be getting to OSU's map pick on Chalet. We'll see if anything different happens from that, but we'll see in just a few minutes.
Yep, see you in a sec.
Bathroom dead. I'm in bathroom.
I'm gonna keep holding point.
Captain dead.
Going up blue. Oh, wait.
Bathroom dead. I'm in
gonna
bathroom.
I'm gonna keep holding flank.
Captain dead.
Going up blue.
Diffuser down closet.
Show me.
Kids are foul. You just.
Below and manages to get in, and they drop down randomly.
Welcome back to Midwest R6 in our game of Illinois versus Ohio State. We had a fantastic nail biter of a game one, 8-7. OSU taking it on Oregon, which was Illinois' map pick. But we're about to head into game two, which is Chalet on OSU's map pick. How are you feeling, Pearson, about how everything went?
I really don't know what to say. That was such an upset. I mean, who could have seen that coming? I mean, I was reading from the textbook of my competitive experience that Ohio State was not going to win that because of their struggle to adapt. But, you know, I may not have been able to read the outcome of that match. But you know what I can read? Ad reads first kill. Watch out for tonight's first kill on the second map, presented by Blue Light. Blue Light helps gamers enhance their performance while protecting their vision. Their specialized glasses protect eyes from blue light risk while maintaining necessary screen time and display preferences, ensuring both eye health and optimal gaming. Top 5, ready to show off your insane or clumsy highlights from your Midwest R6 match? Send them to @MidwestR6 on Twitter and Discord to potentially be featured. Top 5 is presented by MSI USA, the official partner of the Midwest R6 League. Make sure to mark your calendars for December 2nd. Midwest R6 is collaborating with K9s for Warriors to raise funds to train service dogs for veterans suffering with PTSD. The charity event will include 16 teams from across 9 different states in an all-day online tournament. We cannot wait to see you there. Ready to find out who will be the champion of Season 3? Who will take the crown of Kings of the Midwest? The grand finals will take place on December 14th here at the Midwest R6 Twitch page with fun added bonuses to come. Midwest R6, your home to collegiate R6 in the Midwest region.
You read the hell out of those ads, Pearson.
Oh, yes, I did. That's one read that I can get right every time.
Fantastic stuff. Once again, I love that. Make sure that you show up for those important dates. December 2nd, just a couple of days here for the charity event, and December 14th for the grand finals for Midwest R6 Season 3. But before we get to that, we have to figure out who's going to even make it to the grand finals, and this is all part of that. Getting back into our match of OSU versus Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that actually, I was going to say, but UIUC winning that map, it does look like we have a possibility going to game 3 or match 3, because honestly, if Ohio State, with Ohio State taking that, it's not looking good for a map 3. I mean, unless UIUC can pull off a win on Ohio State's other map, but honestly, I'm not really too confident because we saw a precedent, and that precedent was that despite having an adaptation that decimated Ohio State, it still proved not to be enough. An initial observation that held true despite the massive comeback that UIUC was potentially making but was not able to pull off. And I think this is going to set a nasty precedent, or this is going to be very bad for UIUC. The fact that they had this winning strategy and now it no longer works. But like I said, I still am not impressed by Ohio State's adaptation. I still don't think it was enough. So, I mean, there's still a chance, but I don't know. I'm still really worried. We are going to see some default bans here. The Osa, the Thatcher. I mean, come on. You already know who's going to come next on defense, right? Right?
You'd hope so. We hope that we know who's coming next on defense, because when you bring it to Chalet, there's a lot of considerations. I'm honestly surprised the Ying wasn't banned on Chalet. That's a very popular ban specifically for Chalet, but just in general. And thank God we finally see the Azami ban.
Absolutely. Ohio State, this is your chance to make things right. You know who you have to ban. I mean, do I really even have to say it? But I'll say it anyway for those who aren't keeping a little footnote. It's Valkyrie. I mean, the amount of impact she had was insane. Or Mute. One of those two. It's got to be one of those two. There it is. Oh my gosh. Ohio State, I'm so proud of you. Look at that. The Valkyrie ban. UIUC.
So good.
Good luck. Good luck, because that was a massive staple that allowed them to win a lot of rounds. Great ban pick from Ohio State. But you got to give props. We did see a lot of Thatcher in response to UIUC's adaptation, and they got a lot of impact from how often they were able to get their setup and get those hatches and walls open. So the Thatcher was a good ban, even though it is a bit common. I will give them props for that as well. 2 very, very strong bans, if I do say so myself. What do you think?
Agreed. 100% agree with you there. I don't think there's any issue with that. I don't think that the other popular attacker bans are valuable on this map. Like Dokkaebi, I don't think brings any value to breaching into Chalet for the most part. I mean, any more so than Dokkaebi provides value on any map, which is, good value always, but ultimately not as much as, an Osa as much as a Thatcher and an Osa ban would.
Yeah, and I think how the teams have played up to this point, you really don't, either team doesn't really benefit that much from the Dokkaebi ban anyway. I mean, when you look at how they play, it's in these more confined spaces, and there's not really a lot of, untouched territory where you're going to see a lot of people running around. I mean, for most rounds on Chalet and Oregon, you're going to see everyone touch pretty much almost every single room. There's not a lot of pockets, right? And so there's really no need for Dekebi to clear said pockets. But we are going to see a lot of aggression from Mamba, already holding by the windows, but gonna get droned out, holding for that window, still committing to denying that initial entry into library. But could this be the first pick here? So far, still holding aggressively by the balk. Oh, not gonna spot him though. I don't think, knows. A lot of shots coming out. A little bit of an attempted wallbang. Not gonna go through. The cap cans from Bola will get spotted out here. We're gonna start to see a push from the mezzanine, trying to push out and pinch Mamba, but he's already long gone. And with that, the wall now getting open with something so early on to get this top-down approach going.
Yeah, I like the pressure. Definitely get pressure in bedrooms so that you can work on your vertical. Kitchen dining being the first selection here does mean that you have to bring something, right? Ace is usually the more common option, but bringing thermites just as well, especially when you're not going to have to worry as much about getting shot in the back, considering that it's the lower floor site. So defenders usually won't allocate a lot of people to library to hold this.
Yeah, and I'd like to say that it's a really smart UI. You see how they've pretty much completely taken this southern front so far, and they've pretty much cut off Ohio State. I mean, you got Mama Blow, who's about to get flushed out by, oh my gosh, the fast-paced swing from her. Not going to be able to catch him, though, unfortunately, still gonna be holding below, but they know that he's there, and they're gonna have that accountability, especially with getting so much control. They can start to push out the other bomb site, which will give an opening, but C-Line's not satisfied with that. She's still pushing out, trying to catch another with Zijok, seemingly not really knowing that she's so close, and that could be disastrous for them. Mamba still holding below, but I don't think we're going to see much impact from that, as they know. Right now, it looks like they're playing the long game in denying this plant, but I don't think that's going to work out. We are going to start seeing smokes going out here. NA trying to push by the boxes, going to get flushed out, plant going down, but not for and Saline, going to go down. There comes the push-up, but he actually gets away with it and denies the plant for kill. Mamba being able to take that despite them knowing where he is. How does he get away with that? And now it's looking bleak as the initial push when they got him pushed back all the way to Slayerium no longer pays off. Able to take another, takes two as 10 seconds remains. Now trying to push up, goes from the plant, but gets nitroed out by Ebola to finish out that round. A pre-place. Whew, that's an upset.
Yeah, did they forget that Mamba was basement? Did they forget that fireplace stairs was the last time that they saw Mamba? Did they assume that Mamba was going to rotate out? That was a great hold there, making sure to wait until, you know, they were going for the plant and then go for the fat swing. But here's an issue that I saw. I do want to highlight Rennie being able to take aggressive action in as a support character, being able to run in and throw the thermite breaches aggressively, even when you weren't necessarily the safest from all angles, giving a lot of space to the attackers, but it didn't pay off for very much because what are the other utility that they brought? They brought hard breach charges on an agent when ultimately that's not going to bring you a lot of value in that kitchen dining attack, especially when you've got, you know, other options. You've got thermite, and I guess you maybe didn't want to leave it all up to Rennie, but I don't know. It didn't seem as valuable as, once again, something like a Claymore could have been, just in the information of it alone.
Yeah, I feel like they were kind of trying to isolate Ohio State out, but they just did not succeed in doing that. And I mean, it just shows. Like, they knew Mamba was there, and despite that, he was still able to walk up. And that shouldn't happen. I mean, I don't know if it was like a coordination thing. I don't know if it was just unfortunate, because you did have a player take that fight to Mamba, but being unsuccessful. But I mean, it just kind of goes to show that when you let these, you know, free elements go unaccounted for, it does so much damage.
Agreed. Now, the Mira being left open is the only reason I think you would even entertain going basement as your site, but and with a kill quickly onto Mamba gives the attackers the momentum that they need to really start their entry.
Yeah, I mean, that is a great start to an entry and a very high value pick. I mean, Mamba only took out what? Actually didn't take out any drones, didn't deny any intel, still eliminated very early on. Mamba losing that impact. I mean, that roaming that lurking element now eliminated so early on. And that was kind of what cost him so much in that last round, on top of the retaliation or the breach push, the aggression, the counter aggression from Ohio State. I mean, that's one factor of what cost them the round, now completely out of the way. But there's still a long ways to go, as it's one thing to get a setup, it's another thing to execute. And right now, they're not getting much of a setup, as Toaster does take Saline, but not before Rennie able to take a refrag onto Toaster there. It's still looking favorable for UIUC with it being 4v3, but still. Oh my gosh, no way! Nate was, and she still took both despite that. What a gunner! Oh my gosh, now a 2v3. I mean, one wrong gunfight. I mean, no refrag there. Now a 2v3. That could not have went wrong enough. Flash them out, do something. You cannot give someone picks like that. And the worst part is the diffuser is now dropped. They know where it is, and it's on an open floor. This now presents a unique challenge to UIUC, as Ohio State now has the ability to play around that, which is an entirely different ball game when you're attacking for the diffuser instead. But despite that, we will see Zofia successfully pick up the diffuser. Despite that, that could have been a dangerous situation, but it will not happen. 35 seconds left on the clock. We're going to see Zofia start to move down main stairs. Lost. Now pushing down blue stairs. Almost catches one. Is able to finish out Nate, shutting down the Reign of Terror. 25 seconds left on the clock. They do have the ability to move up. Tries to pre-fight a garbage can. Is able to do that. Takes one. Takes two as Ebola able to headshot both of them out to shut down potentially a good comeback push as they take yet another round.
Beautiful round there. OSU looking really strong off the backs of a single player that time. Nate with an incredible play just above the site, I think was crucial in slowing down the attackers' option to get towards site and giving the defenders numbers advantage. So the attackers either needed to make an aggressive play and something a little bit less predictable, because you cannot push with numbers disadvantage at only like 15 seconds remaining, for example. Or they had to, push together down a stairwell. And so they tried to go for some aggressive action, ultimately all off the backs of Nate forcing them into that position. So great stuff from OSU, constantly keeping the pressure across the map really heavy.
Oh yeah, I mean, they gave UIUC no grounds, at least not without severe punishment there. I mean, even with the information. And once again, it's that same problem that I was talking about before, where UIUC is able to get that information, but how they manage that information, it's just not going in their favor. And if this is a pattern that persists, like I speculated it would, Ohio State is going to have a clean sweep on this map. And so far, not losing a single round, but you got to keep in mind, all it takes is one attack round, one little glimpse of how do we do this in order to really take the cake. We will see on the IQ, which is something that I kind of called for Ohio State to possibly do, but I really don't think UIUC needs it that much. It's not the information that's just not there, it's how they're playing off of it that's kind of really making me question it. I mean, they knew Mamba was over by basement, and how they played that was just, I mean, and then they knew where Nate was, and that was, so I don't really know. I mean, they have the information. I think the IQ is a bit excessive, and she's already dead too. I mean, not looking good. That's a lot of active utility lost. Sophia all on her own, taking this fight in kitchen. Once again, they know where a player is, but is she gonna take it? She does. Able to take Nate out. Gonna be able to get that push onto West Mim. There's gonna be another player as Lost is able to take Z-Jock in the process. Now 4v3 here. They have the pressure to push on. They have that vertical, or a little bit of it, as there's still one more player above. That phone can's gonna give a lot of counter intelligence, or would have with a Valkyrie, but remember, Valkyrie's off the board once again. I mean, just a little bit more utility than I think or intel than what UIUC really needs, but so far still able to take one. It's looking a bit better here, but we've seen how Ohio State can play aggressive and turn it around very quickly.
We still have one more ring available. Switching from Lion to the Dokkaebi, you have a Logic Bomb still up and, actionable to make happen. The EE1Ds weren't doing too much because they were using them in a passive state again, not pushing aggressively with them. So we'll see if this brings the value that they wanted, and it doesn't look like it does.
No, unfortunately not, as Toaster takes one. Here's the turnaround that I was talking about. He knows this one out by the window, but Lost will be able to take Mamba out as she's right outside of sight. Rennie gonna be able to not take this, but Toaster does get lost in the process. Alien trying to take another, pushes up, gets Ebola. Now all up to Toaster, but with Rennie so far off sight, Toaster now creeping back onto sight. He does have an opportunity to take this, but he's gonna have to hurry. But Rennie catches him out by the lobby as he makes his way back from West Main for UIUC to get their first round. Wow, what a close catch. I mean, barely not able to cross over.
Yeah, that was that was a great round for the attackers. I think they played really together there. They felt a little bit more coordinated in their last two rounds. It's also possible that OSU wasn't as prepared to defend that site. They won the first two, and they're going to have a reset on this one. But yeah, I'm not sure. We'll have to see as they adapt going into this next one. But I really liked how Illinois decided to approach that attack. I think that bringing the Dokkaebi was a lot more powerful than the Lion, because as in terms of passive utility action, Logic Bomb is a lot more valuable than EE1D, and it kind of felt like Lost was more interested in playing their own game plan around their utility. So if you're going to do that, Dokkaebi is definitely the way to do that as kind of a support lurk option. I don't know if it's going to continue because it's only going to be useful on some sites. And as they're going back to kitchen dining, I'm not sure that you're going to get the value that you want. Since kitchen dining is more of that central location in Chalet, you would only be using the logic bombs to clear out library, which you can easily do with drones and some other utility.
No, absolutely. I mean, there's always substitutes to get that impact that you're looking for there. I 100% agree. But with that being said, we are going to be looking back into playing on that kitchen dining site. I mean, we saw how Ohio State was able to hold that out. I mean, absolutely shutting down that lobby front there. But hard to say whether or not that's going to work again, as UIUC did pick up their first round. They seem to have found their golden ticket for what works, as they cleared that out pretty well. I mean, putting the pressure back onto Ohio State, but whether that lasts is another question, and it doesn't look like it might, as we're going to see Mamba able to take an early pick onto another here. I mean, Mamba plays this aggressively. She tends to do that, but this time it does pay off instead of an early pick. I mean, Mamba has been a huge playmaker in several rounds. I mean, a lot of it comes down to how much she can deny, and this time she does get it this time around, but they are going to be able to get that office wall up finally. And yeah, so far, not a lot of push quite yet, as UIUC tries to slow it down after losing one of their look clearer Nook there. They do have information about the basement player there, but whether or not they actually act on it and get that clear is a whole other issue on its own. They are going to pop the hatch, trying to hunt her down here, because last time that she hit there, Mamba did some serious damage, and that's kind of the fear, is that that's going to happen again, as they do go for a similar execute to last time.
Yep, is this impact going to catch the crouched thermite charge? I don't believe that. Oh, it looks like it did. So they're not going to be able to breach open that wall on the side of kitchen. So that's really rough on the side of dining room. That's going to make this attack incredibly difficult. With 53 seconds remaining, they've got to regroup and figure out another game plan.
Yeah, they're going to have to go for a whole rotator. They're going to have to push through one deadly funnel. I mean, that is a bad situation, not being able to get that. But they do have these mini hard breach charges, though, and that will create some openings, but they're still very funneled. That doesn't help a lot, but with Zofia on the Ying, that might be the opening they need to start crouching in or vaulting in. The Candelas go in, the vaulting comes, but Rennie will get taken out by the Frost. That's going to be Diffuser, now no longer possible, and they're going to still try to force the win, but yet another pick out from Toaster to take a triple kill for Toaster, and with that, there's really not a lot to do there, as a flawless round comes in for Ohio State.
Yeah, that was rough. I think that they did not change their game plan quick enough. They just decided to throw another hard breach charge down onto that wall, and only with that small window open, it's too difficult. You can't push in. They don't have to be visible to that opening. And then the other part of it is that played zero and brought all of the utility needed to ensure that you don't get flanked, had the claymores available, had the cameras available if you wanted to place one on your backside, and even with the Solus on the other side, it at least gives you information about who's in basement if they decide to take it out. All of the information that you would have possibly wanted, especially to hold a Solus on the flank, but instead of using the utility and placing it for that passive information, played that basement stairwell, the fireplace staircase, for like a full minute and a half. And I think that was just a lot of time and utility wasted. And by utility, I mean a couple of the cameras that he decided to throw down there, instead of just placing like one and then using a claymore to hold the staircase and then using the rest of your utility to try to get information on the site to make the push easier for your team, especially when they can't breach that wall. It was a lot of like stuff that they prepped for, I feel like, with their character and agent selection, that they just did not execute on. It felt a little discoordinated.
No, absolutely. It was very discoordinated. And this is kind of what I was talking about before, like what we've discussed multiple times. It's that story again and again of you have the information, but can you use it? And UIC is just showing that they really can't. And I mean, Ohio State knows this, and they are punishing it so heavily. But we have seen that UIC is able to come back heavily on the swap. So, I mean, it's one thing now, but whether or not that remains the same for the attack, or for their defense, is another story. Because when they play out their information on defense, they do it quite well. But honestly, with Ohio State already kind of calling that out to win UIUC's map, I mean, who knows how much impact they'll have. And right now it's showing to be not a lot, as we will see Nate take Lost already so early on. And that is their name of the game, Intel, already off the board. It's the same story. I mean, what do they have to do to get over this hurdle? Because, I mean, I feel like this isn't going to work no matter how many times they try to make it.
Is that all of those ace charges just went down on the wall. 2 of the 3 anyways just went down on the wall. Both of those were taken out by just impact grenades, not even by bandit tricking. So that's more stuff that they used that they couldn't get into basement with. And even if you do get into basement, Toaster's got a mirror setup down there. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that has to go right for you to be able to attack this basement with the current pick ban situation, and none of it went right. Doubling down on the ace charge, I don't think was the correct decision, and now you're in a numbers disadvantage pushing into the hardest turtle that I've seen. There's got to be a lot that goes right gunfight-wise for you.
I mean, I'd hope so for UIUC's sake, because they haven't taken one. And like you said, this is a site where you want everything opened up. And for them to have nothing, I mean, geez, the results speak for themselves. They can't even get through a doorway. They're still stuck, but able to finally take one despite the fact. And with 50 seconds, I mean, maybe if Ohio State really just gives way too many gunfights, but I mean, with how low Zofia is, I have very little confidence that that is going to be the case. Able to finally make his way to Heater, but I don't think that's going to really matter too much. I mean, look how they got it locked down here. The Nitro coming out, and the swing for the finish from Ebola. I mean, what can you really do there in that case?
Okay, let's talk about the operator selection for that round really quickly, because I think it is important to note going into this final round. They picked Dokkaebi, Buck, Gridlock, Ace, and Thermite. What does this read to me? They want to open everything up, right? They want to open up the snowmobile wall if they can. They definitely want to open up any hatches if available from above, and they want to get the vertical gameplay down with the Gridlock and Buck. Obviously, a lot of options to do that, right? You can even stop the bandit tricking if you can get the breach from above. And how are you going to do that? By clearing out all of library and upstairs with logic bombs from Dokkaebi. None of that went correctly. They played the hard breacher outside. Got taken out fairly early on, so they didn't have the Buck available for the hard breaching. And then, I'm not exactly sure what happened for the rest of it, but again, their operator selection was correct for the game plan that they wanted to play, but they had no presence in Fireplace.
And that's such a confusing state of affairs. I mean, that's just common practice to do that. I like I said, it's just what do you do at that point? Because I mean, it's like you have the right idea, but it's just none of the execute, not even the setup at this point. It's like you have on attack A, B, C, right. Point A, get in the building. Point B, setup. point C, execute. And I mean, ooh, okay. Gonna be able to take Zage. Oh my gosh! 2 picks. Are you kidding me? And almost 3. Wow. Ohio State just giving a lot of picks to UIUC for free there. I mean, that's not what you want. But I mean, I guess with how things have played thus far, if you want to be super aggressive, you can. Oh my gosh, N8 just running right in that crossfire and still not taking any damage despite that. Interesting. But I mean, like I said, it's just not playing off of what they have. They're not even getting to point B. They're getting to point A, and then it goes, what now? And that can't be the type of questions that you're asking when you haven't even set up yet.
Mamba gets a pick onto Celine, and Mamba holding this upstairs is going to be crucial. If Mamba goes down too early, they're just going to get all the vertical for free, and that's why they've doubled up. Now they've also got Thorn above. Thorn goes down, of course. Nate dies. So does Mamba. A little bit of friendly fire killing Zofia, but it's not going to prevent them from winning the round. Lost takes out Ebola to close out that attack round very, 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 very solidly.
I mean, yeah, they didn't let Ohio State take free picks. That's not something UIUC is exactly doing there. That's the one thing they're getting, or one thing that they're definitely doing right is not allowing Ohio State to just get free picks like that. But I mean, it's still a tough situation. But my question to Ohio State is, what was that? I mean, with the most amount of respect that I can give, I mean, you had 2 people peeking. You had 1 person lose their spawn peak. You would think that's an indicator to probably stop, right? No, they have another person. That person goes down. And then you have a 3rd person, Nate, holding out by the blue window. Just stop. Just stop, please. But I mean, props to UIUC for not letting Ohio State take that by doing that. That would have been really upsetting, to say the least. But I mean, still, it's not looking too good with such a massive round differential. But you do have to keep in mind that Chalet is a little bit defender-sided. But I mean, even still, like, the nature with how UIC lost those rounds still gives me grave concern, especially when you're still seeing that heavy information denial or counter intel setups that they tried to do and could not successfully pull out from Oregon. But what do you think?
I pretty much agree with you on all accounts there. Ultimately, I don't understand why Mira died so early into the round. Like, there's some stuff that happened maybe a little bit off screen there that I couldn't possibly have predicted. And I don't think we need to overthink it. That was just getting picks early and executing off of those picks. So with the side swaps here, hopefully they can just mentally reset off of what was ultimately, they could probably consider to be a fluke of a round.
Yeah, I really don't think there's much to think about as far as Ohio State's concerned. I mean, they just way over-aggressed there, got way too greedy. I mean, it happens to the best of us. You know, when you get a consistent round streak, sometimes you just want to do something stupid, you know? Even I do that, right? If we're having a steamroll, you'll see me spawn peek, not throw my utility down. But, I mean, even still, I don't know. That's not what you want. But we are going to see Ohio State already getting those walls open, trying to get a little bit of top-down presence here for their execute. This is what needed to be done on the prior half, and Ohio State is getting that, already asserting themselves over by Office, getting that top-down ready, so they're going to be able to help with that breach. They really haven't set up too much on garage side, though, which I think is interesting. Oh, but we are going to see Fenrir able to take one, but gets promptly refragged there with a net positive for Ohio State in this situation, as they do have top-down control now, and they do have that breach wide open.
See if they can execute on that, on what they brought so far. Obviously, they have a lot of good vertical attacking ability while also holding down the staircases. Since Nate is able to get down here with the Super Shorty and not only be able to throw those tracks stingers down to the bottom floor, but also to the staircase to prevent people from peeking them, this should be a really easy attack, and they're already getting the plant down.
Yeah, and really there's not a lot of ways for UIUC to contest this. I mean, it's a tight corner that the plant is going down. You got a lot of angles that are covering to prevent a push-up to deny it. I mean, you still have Toaster sitting comfortably there. And there comes 1 pick, 2 picks there. Able to deny the push from Connector. Not moving an inch, but still taking a mile.
That was a fantastic attacking round. I mean, it's interesting to see as soon as the swap occurs that OSU is feeling comfortable on that attacking side. They had a game plan to attack basement. They were able to execute on it effectively. They had pretty much the same thing that I complained about, if you remember, early on or not even early on, but just a couple of rounds ago, whenever the other side of Illinois was trying to attack OSU's defense. They had a lot of the same agents. They had the Dokkaebi, they had the gridlock, they had a lot of vertical presence, but they weren't able to get anything out of it. But the second that OSU, in this case, got control of library, and I mean, early on got control of library, but then after that got control of fireplace, it was over.
Oh yeah, I mean, they didn't even have to open garage side. It was a very set in point execute. I mean, pretty much, I would even say textbook perfect. Like, everything that you want out of an attack on basement as far as default goes, Ohio State got that. Which is so interesting to me because 90% of the time, that's not how that plays out. Something goes wrong. Almost always. The top down falls apart. You try to go in for a breach initially, it doesn't work. Something tends to go wrong, right? Or you try to push in through a smoke, you get nitroed out, you have to back out, right? The first push in never goes the way you want on that site, right? But Ohio State, they just got on the first go. And I mean, it went so smoothly. We didn't even see a pick come out during that entire plant, which is so interesting. I mean, there was just really no way to respond just because of the way that UIUC was unfortunately set up there. And I think that really speaks to the consistency of Ohio State, honestly.
Absolutely. 100% agree with you here. I like that you bring Claymores just for some defense on the runouts. You want to control library if possible again here. I like this hold from Celine onto the staircase. Not going to make anything happen there, but Toaster is going to be able to grab Zofia to start this attack.
Yeah, but will get pre-fired out thanks to, over by Mezzanine there. They'll hold on to the library, and with the help of Celine there, Putt gonna get down over by that small library corner. Toaster almost gets spotted out by Fenrir, but able to make it out, but not before the push-up from Ebola, already knocking it down so fast to a 1v4. The aggression, it doesn't matter. N8 is the flank watch king of this match, at least so far. And with that, I believe we're now at match point as Ohio State has been killing it on attack.
Yeah, Nate is absolutely an MVP, playing gridlock exactly as intended. Being able to hold down all of those angles that people will be able to peek you from, being able to stop all of the chokes people would be able to run from, and then set up whatever vertical game plan that you so choose. Obviously, having frag grenades is just a nice little bonus to that, but also credit to Nate's team for allowing that setup, being able to get gridlock to the point where they can set up all of the utility that they want to, and help out by killing enemies, of course, is also very helpful. So OSU as an entire team, individually and together, seems to be really coordinated on this map.
Very well coordinated indeed. I mean, they're just getting exactly what they want as far as setup is concerned. They're not really, there's really no gaps in how they're attacking. They're doing everything by the books, and they're executing exactly as you should. I mean, it's baffling that they're just able to run that default and really not face enough pressure to really change things up. It's pretty much, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I mean, you don't have to, as long as you're attacking it correctly, and they continue to do so every time. It's just, I really don't know what UIUC has to do here. Like, I'm really trying to, think and be on the up and up for them, but, ever since that Intel adaptation fell apart in the very last round of the first match, they really haven't been able to come back, as they continue to hold on to that, and it just doesn't pay out. So, I mean, they gotta do something different. But we have seen that when it comes to match point, they do something drastically different, and it does end up working. But honestly, other than not bringing any of those utility ops that they were doing, from the first match point situation, I'm not really seeing a whole lot in operator composition differences, but perhaps you can elaborate more on what they're doing here, or at least trying to do.
Yeah, interestingly, OSU saw that Fenrir was picked and decided to bring Brava to hope to counter it. Let's see if their team can play slow enough for that to take effect, because right now it doesn't seem to be the case. Celine is going to take out Toaster, which means that your team as attack is not playing slow enough to allow Brava to clear the utility that they need to. And that's in and of itself a big issue. I mean, if you're trying to play a Brava team comp. So Fenrir is going to find a lot more value as there's only a minute 30 remaining. You haven't gotten any picks on the defensive side right now. And as I say that, of course, Mamba's going to take out Zofia and even up the scoreline. So the chance is still present.
Yeah, there's definitely a chance. In losing your blue shield player like that, that is a massive loss for UIUC. On top of losing your Fenrir player too, but not before Saline getting very aggressive on blue stairs to take another stake, suffering a lot of heavy damage. But here's Ebola holding by Mudroom, waiting for Jaeger to come back. But with the BP, gonna spot him spot her out, and not gonna be able to take Saline, who will be able to stay alive at least for now. But that won't be the case for as Mamba takes him out. Looking a little bit bleak here. Celine waiting, doesn't even able to get the shots, whiffs it. No, he's not able to secure it. Has to fall back to basement. It's now a 1vx situation on site. Celine tries to come back, but gets flushed out with Z-Jock to finish it out, as Ohio State is your victor for tonight's matchup of UIUC versus Ohio State.
They slowed that round down. They allowed Z-Jock to get all of the utility that they needed to, get rid of all of the FNAP mines that Fenrir had placed, and then push in aggressively and together. And ultimately showing why, even on a map pick that wasn't their own from game one, and then on their own map pick especially, they are the better team today. Congratulations to Ohio State.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I still want to say that UIUC had a strong adaptation. It had a lot of impact initially, but I mean, you can't do it forever, unfortunately, and UIUC learned that lesson the hard way. But if they can come up with more adaptations and hold it as solidly as they did when they came out with that Intel adaptation, or at least could get a stronger usage out of it as far as what they're doing with their, Intel, then I think they would absolutely be behemoths. But that opportunity is now gone, as they are now eliminated, as Ohio State University moves on. Taking UIUC down to elimination. They're going to have to look forward to the spring season, as their chance is now over. But I think this has a lot of opportunity for as far as VOD review, and I think that they have a lot of potential when it comes to utility usage, because everyone's used to that swinger be swung meta, right? And when you have a team that, despite that, is able to still play off utility and act on it so well, that's really tricky for those who are not prepared for it. And I think for next season, that'll be something to look forward to for UIUC.
And just a reminder, I mean, Illinois came into this with the better record. I mean, 5-2 versus OSU's 3-4. So odds were that Illinois was going to, at least take one game. So OSU just showing a really dominant performance, and I'm curious to see how they do moving on into that Final Four, because the momentum definitely seems to be on their side, and whatever they struggled with in the regular season, they do not seem to be struggling with so much right now.
Yeah, no, they've made a lot of improvements up to this point. But with that being said, we are going to go into intermission, and then after that, we will have our post-game interview, and we will call it a night after that. So we'll be right back in just a moment.
Stick around.
Bathroom dead. I'm in bathroom.
I'm gonna keep holding point.
Captain dead. Bathroom dead. I'm in bathroom.
I'm gonna keep holding point.
Captain dead.
Diffuser down closet.
Show me.
Kids are foul. You just.
Below, man, you can get in. And they drop down randomly.
Welcome back to Midwest R6. We are at the interview process right now, as though it's a job interview right now. I mean, you guys were playing like it was your job. That was a fantastic showing. 2-0, looking really dominant, especially in that map too. We are joined by Toaster from OSU. How are you doing, Toaster?
Pretty good.
Fantastic. We've got some good questions for you today. I'm going to start off with a very easy one. Map pick ban. We saw that the first two maps played were two of the three most popular ones. In general, not just for this league, obviously. What was the game plan with the ban phase, specifically that second round ban phase? What was going through your guys' mind? Did you have a game plan, or were you just kind of banking?
Yeah. So our game plan was kind of thwarted. We kind of went to maps that we don't like. We don't like Oregon. We don't like Chalet. So the map bans were kind of iffy. They insta-banned our best map, Sky. So after that, we just kind of had to pick the maps that we were least bad at. We kind of like the more niche maps where maybe not a lot of people play them. It's kind of easier to create tricky strats that people haven't really seen before with those maps. So Chalet, Oregon, like everybody knows them. It's really just going to come down to like who has the better fundamentals, like who has the better IGL, the better flank cams, better execute, better coordination with their execute. So yeah.
Absolutely. I'll toss it over to Piercing for more.
No, and I think that really was what happened. That did work out for you, despite it not being your best maps. And I really do appreciate that you have that focus on playing those niche maps. We actually talked about that extensively prior to the first match on Oregon. So once again, it's the point that I want to emphasize. You learn those less popular maps. It really throws off the other team, especially when they just know the standards. But a question that I wanted to ask you. So, and I'm sure you guys noticed this because you really adapted it in Chalet, but a big part of UIUC's setup was denying your intel while also bringing more intel to the table. And when they started doing that, when you guys got to match point, they really started racking up rounds there. So, but you guys were able to kind of turn it around at overtime. So what happened there? I mean, you guys you were doing really well, but then once they started using that intel heavy approach, that's when things started to kind of fall apart. So what was really going on there?
Yeah, for sure. So like the one basement round that they did win, that echo play with they had intel on like all their flanks. We knew they had lurkers. We knew they had guys that would solo push on attack and like solo flank on defense. So we knew that we had to be aware of that. Once they had the intel to flank, I mean, that's what really stopped us for sure on the basement rounds. We felt like we were close on the above rounds, on the base or the kids dorm round. So when they went third site in overtime, I really think that was a smart choice for them because like I felt like all those rounds that they won were like a clutch away from us winning it. So yeah, once they started bringing the information game, we just kind of had to really start crossing our I's and dotting our T's and being like, we gotta know that these informed flanks are coming. So just don't go off by yourself. Make sure you have a trade, stuff like that, just like the basics.
Yeah, no, and that absolutely makes sense. But I do have a quick follow-up to that because this was something that really piqued my interest. And despite all of that information denial and additional information that they brought, you guys didn't have a IQ or Bravo or a Twitch or something to, directly counter it. Was there a specific reason behind that, or is it just, a thought that didn't really come through? I was really curious about that, if that was intentional or if it just hadn't really crossed the mind, because I was really thinking about that, of what that impact that could have possibly brought.
Yeah. So well, after the first round they won when they started bringing the echo cams, we brought IQ to kind of answer for that, but our lineup for that attack is kind of tight. I don't know if I should leak this, but our execute for that site is very like heavily dependent on our util. So it's really hard for us on that specific attack to swap out a certain operator
Oh.
when we need it. But the good thing about that was they weren't running Cade, which was kind of weird. So the fact that they weren't running Cade meant we could swap someone out for an IQ. Like we wouldn't have to worry about the EMPs. So that's why we were able to bring the IQ there. But normally, yeah, we kind of have trouble moving pieces around for that attack.
Gotcha. So it's not so much we didn't really think about it. It was more of we already have a set way to do this, and there's just not a lot of wiggle room to do that. That's interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
No,
we
I
like
can definitely see that.
we had like one kind of flex operator that we could kind of shift around. So once we saw the echo drones, we're like, yeah, we should probably bring something that can spot these cams because we don't want to, we don't want to get into a plant situation and have that thwart us, and we don't want, we want to stop these flanks, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, definitely for sure. But Platypus, well, I'll toss the fork or the pitch over to you. If you got any more questions?
Well, I'm Kevin with a K, but I will go ahead and continue with the questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
you go for it.
Yeah, so I want to move over to well, I guess I have one quick question before we move over to Chalet
Mhm.
about Oregon.
Yeah.
The attack, the very final round attack, they went
Yeah.
back to kitchen meeting,
hmm
had the exact same defensive setup, and you guys brought pretty much the exact same attack setup. What
Yeah.
changed?
So we after that first round, we basically sat there and we're like, we just need to attack this like we're attacking kids and bunks because they had a really big heavy upstairs setup. So if we once we knew once we cleared out those vertical like angles and those vertical pressures that it was basically going to be a free win for us. Though I also on the first round they won when they went kitchen, they got a really like easy pick onto me. So I kind of I was bad that round. I like realized that they were probably going to be a little bit more aggressive. So I think me staying up and then us realizing that if we just like kind of go at this site with a mindset that this is the site and we need to really fight for this pressure, that they're not going to be able to know what to do. And that kind of is exactly what happened. Like once we were able to get control of games and we got control of attic, they had to make desperate flanks. We caught a guy on a desperate flank. We caught a guy on playing vertical in security. And then after that, it was just a 2v5. It's just, getting to site. So once we kind of shifted our focus more towards the vertical rather than just going straight for site, it was definitely a lot easier time.
That's fantastic. Yeah.
gotcha.
Do you have any more questions about Oregon before we move to Chalet Piercing?
Yeah, just one quick question though. So after, they were able to come back into overtime, it was looking really tight with it coming down to double OT, but you
Yeah.
guys still were able to pull it off at the very last second and with a pretty good player differential at the end. So my question is, what exactly were the communications like when you guys were prepping for that very last round? I could see the nervousness and how you guys were clearing the angles. It was very tense from how it played at the very end. And what did you think helped particularly to win out that round ultimately? Because it seemed like the clears were just so much different, especially above. It was very effective. I mean, you guys got the control, you came out with an advantage, and then you clasped down moving downstairs.
Yeah, I mean, just like I guess just a huge shout out to my team. The mentals all from both maps, but especially Oregon were just high the whole time. We knew like we told each other we knew what was on the line that like this is, we win this round, we basically win because we knew we were going to either win Chalet or Cafe. So, I mean, we definitely knew that the stakes were high. The high vibes helped to kind of relieve that pressure a little bit, and that let us we really just talked strategy going into that round. We just really just talked about how we were going to split push and where we were going to focus. And like I said before, that discussion was basically focus on kids' dorms like it's that site. Act like they're going to have pressure and utility set up everywhere, and that let us get all the control that we needed.
Divide and conquer. Yeah, of course,
Mhm.
that makes a lot of sense. And you guys did that very well with the way that you had a very fast initial clear of like bunks and attic and kids. I mean, you guys swept that up pretty
Mhm.
effectively. But yeah, I think that's it I got for Oregon though. But
Yeah.
moving on with Chalet though, I only really have one question because you guys pretty cleanly won that map out. Prior to the swap, you guys had three players. I think two or three were spawn peeking, and you lost two players and almost lost Nate in the process.
Yeah.
What was going on there? I was just kind
Oh,
of befuddled there.
well, that was our third site on like one of our worst maps.
That's such an excuse. You know
yeah,
it's
That
such
is
an
that's
excuse.
oh,
I guess now I'm gonna have to change it now that the information's out there. But our mentality is if we have a weak third site that we're just gonna spawn peek and like hope for the
Okay.
best.
oh
So
my gosh.
yeah, I mean we have a plan going in, but it's just like it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean that explains why you guys kept sending it. 'Cause I mean, boom, one player gone, another one's spawn peek, go, boom, that one's gone, and then Nate barely surviving. I mean,
Yeah.
almost got hit, her head popped clean off as well. I mean, yeah, I was
I was wondering how
what was
Mira
going
died
on
in the
there.
first 20 seconds of the game.
Well, the funny thing is like our operator lineups were kind of trolled from the beginning, so we didn't really bring the right setup anyway. So it was even more like a just we might as well swing for the fences and hope something sticks.
That's fair.
Plus, you gotta if it worked out, how entertaining would that have been? We gotta be the entertainers here.
Yeah, you definitely had some entertaining moments, and that
Yeah.
would have absolutely blew my mind. I was thinking, I was wondering, do they really think they're gonna get away with this? There's no way they're doing that unless they don't think that they have a chance of getting away with this.
Yeah,
That's insane. So, yeah, that definitely explains it, because I was very lost there. I mean, me and Kevin with the K, of course. But Kevin K, you got any more questions for him?
Yeah. So one from the Observer,
Mhm.
our wonderful Observer Fang, who has been helping us out today, has this question. Did you know any of the players on the opposing team, and did you feel nervous about the roster change that they pulled?
No. Well, I guess first I should say yes. I recognize Um, we've played him like ever since I've like at least once a season ever since I've been on Ohio State. So we definitely recognized and we definitely know he's a gunner.
Yeah.
Also, Celine was a big standout in our like regular season match. Like they were popping off. We knew that they would like lurk and pop out of nowhere. So we knew we had to be aware that like Celine would be the gunner that would just kind of be in the spot that you wouldn't expect. But we weren't really too concerned about the roster change because I like we don't really um we don't really emphasize like individual players because I just feel like that's kind of pointless because you're gonna either get stressed out if a good player is still alive, or you're gonna like get overconfident if their top fragger is dead. So it's just you never really pay attention to who's alive and who's not. So I mean, once they like swapped the roster, it was just kind of like it's just another player.
Yep, absolutely. Getting into the weeds of more of the strategy, since you are clearly an open book. The
Oh.
chalet, the kitchen dining hold that you guys pulled twice. It looked impossible for them to attack. I mean, they looked like they were really struggling, and not just because the second time around the impact grenade stopped the thermite charges twice, but like even when they got the wall open the first time around, it just looked so difficult.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
mean,
if I have a question about that. I just kind of wanted to bring that up.
it's really just a dogfight because there's just so many long angles from trophy and like there's a lot of boxes you have to check to get to the execute. But also for that site, it's really easy to kind of build momentum because, like, if you're pushing above and once you get control above, if you could just kind of steamroll and keep that momentum going, then you can kind of just take over like the entire site. So there's a couple different ways to approach it, and like the way that we defend it is we really just like kind of come down to gunfights really, and just forcing them into gunfights that like we can predict.
And then my last question about Chalet specifically is,
Mhm.
before we started this interview, you mentioned that you were interested in uh, having your villain arc. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to do that.
Oh no.
There is a moment where you guys, in one of the last rounds, you were on attack. You attacked their basement defense, and you had a gridlock and a Dokkaebi and a few others.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if you knew this, but just a few rounds prior to that, you had almost the exact same team compositions, but swapped on sites, and they got nothing out of it. Whereas you guys made it look easy. What's your advice to give your opponents
For like that defense.
for that attack? Yeah, for that attack or defense, I guess, for their site. Yeah.
Oh man, that's tough. I think hmm without giving too much away, I think what the best way to do it is to set up ways that you can all five help each other while being on different parts of the map. Because if you play it in a way where there's like a lot of moving parts where a lot of people can rotate and assist and also like fall off and rotate if they get pushed out, um it'll really make it so like the attacking team thinks they have control, but they really don't. So just basically like being able to be fluid and rotate, and also like being able to help out your teammates if they need to get out, or if they're fighting someone. Just having those quick avenues, um, like all throughout the map, will make it really hard to spot a weak point and push in.
Gotcha.
Fantastic.
Toaster, I have some bad news for you.
Mhm.
You are way too helpful to be on your villain arc. I'm sorry. That was actually a lot of that was pretty valid, and I would agree with that absolutely. So, yeah, that villain arc I think is gonna take a little bit of time there
Eh.
to develop and cook. I'm sorry, my friend.
Yeah.
That's okay. But
kind.
I don't know. Yeah,
I did set you up to be kind there. I'm gonna
true.
give you one more setup to be kind, or
Okay.
to enter your villain arc.
Okay.
Do you? And this is coming from our producer, the wonderful JD.
Uh-huh.
Let me pull it up again. What is one message that you have to say to either UC or MU, who you will be facing next week?
You know, in the wonderful words of Bleed Esports, you know, T1 Pro League team, which is at the Atlantic Major, they both look like they're going to be the best teams. I think they're going to beat us and knock us out. So, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay.
I like the sarcasm there.
Mhm.
They're definitely the best. Yeah, we have zero chance. Yeah, we're screwed.
Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, we just took down the 3 seed, they're 2 seed, and I don't know, Miami's probably like the 20th seed. So, I mean, I'm not too concerned.
Woo! He just spelled
That's
facts.
that
Literal
right
facts.
there.
I mean, they are 20th seed.
Oh my god.
No, I mean, I don't actually know. I didn't check, but
Neither
that's great. That's the response that we're looking for the
Okay.
villain
There's
arc
the
from
evil
Toasty.
arc. That's the start,
Yes.
right? That's the losing your puppy moment that turns someone into a villain. I don't know why I thought of that, but I mean that's what I would think of. Like that would make me turn into a villain. Like I get a puppy, I lose that puppy because of some mean person. Yeah. That's my villain arc right there, and that's the losing or having someone kick your puppy moment. The villain arc right there.
That's
Yeah.
it's the straw that broke the camel's back, you know.
Yeah, there it is. It's the start of something great, or maybe terrible. Who knows?
I know this interview is going long, but our producer is choosing for that to be the case. So you're just going
Oh.
to stick with us because
All
they
right,
just keep
yeah.
asking questions.
Sure.
This one is from our observer Fang again. What was your favorite moment of the match?
So could I say a couple? Like
Yes.
the very first round, I got the 2 opening picks. That was like, I don't know. I was just like, I was vibing after that. I'm like, this is gonna be good. That was a pretty big one. I could tell you my least favorite moment. My least favorite moment was when I was in a 1v1 clutch against and you know, he's just better. Like I lost that. I'm pretty sure that was match point 2, so I'm pretty sure we could have just like not gone to overtime if I would have clutched that. But and then my other favorite was on our basement execute. I dropped the hatch and got like 3 free picks and planted the bomb. That was pretty nice.
That was a banger.
Mm-hmm.
I love that one. If you had to pick a player as the MVP of either the whole match or for if there was one for each of the maps.
Yeah. Well, given that I was the MVP determined by Siege for map 2, I would like to think that I was the MVP for map 2. Also, I was double digits. So, map
Yes.
1, probably I don't know. Everyone played so well. Everyone played a crucial role, but I think it's either got to be Zjock or Nate because it feel like Nateflix because Zjock or Nateflix because I felt like they were big difference makers in some of like the rounds that may have looked like that we were like starting to lose. I feel like they were kind of the ones that sparked the comeback, I guess, in that round.
I love that. That's fantastic. Do you have any other questions to ask, Piercing?
Yeah, I have one actually for Piercing. Where did you
yes.
get that curtain? I'm like, I need it for my room. I don't know if you could see behind me. Like, I could just set that up. Nice back there. Have a nice background for when I cast, for the charity event. I don't know.
JD set you up for this, didn't he? JD set you up for this. I know he did. JD, I know you're hearing me, and you're actually the worst person ever. This had an opportunity to be gone, and you just brought it back. And you couldn't help yourself. I know this, Toaster. I know this. You're just his puppet. He made you say this, and this is awful. I hate this. So you know what? Good on you, Toaster, for being JD's little puppet. This is awful.
Hey, I gotta start a villain arc with everyone, right? Like,
yeah, well, you definitely started it with me.
okay, now can you forgive me? Because I'm pretty sure we're a casting duo for the charity event. That's December 2nd.
December 2nd, 2 days.
Yeah, it's in 2 days. Only if you say that I'm your favorite caster, because we all know that.
Oh,
I'll cover my ears.
Oh no. Okay, you're my favorite caster.
Thank you. Thank you. You
Yeah.
are forgiven for
With
your
Wacko,
comment.
I miss Wacko. We need to get Wacko back.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I do want to address something real quick. Someone said I was
Mhm.
stroking my chin. Who was that? I'm
Oh,
not
that's me.
stroking my
That's me. I do that whenever I'm thinking.
Oh, I thought
It's
you were
like
talking about me because I do the same thing. Like I
it's a
put my like
it's classic. Like I don't know. It's just something I do whenever I'm deep in thought. You know, I'm trying to give the best answer with the little bit of brain power I have left. I expended a lot during that game.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Chief. If you grew like a little beard kind of thing, like a little I don't know how to describe it.
Like a goatee or something, or like a soul
Yeah, yeah,
patch. I
like a
don't know.
goatee. That dude, that would be like the perfect like villain arc thing. Like, that would be so good.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you to do that, but you absolutely could get away with that if you're really gonna commit to the villain arc.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's all that I have. I felt a little bit rude there, Toaster. To answer your question, I think it's Bed Bath and Beyond, but I don't actually
Oh,
know
okay.
that. I'm not
All right.
certain.
I will have to
Um,
take a look about that. My
Yeah,
background's not looking too good for the
it,
charity event. You know, I
I
gotta
think
upgrade.
actually it's available on Amazon. You know what? We'll have it up in the Twitch chat for the charity stream
That's
on December
perfect.
2nd. So we'll
Alright.
have that as a pinned message. I believe JD can make that happen for us about purchasing the shower curtains, curtains. Excuse me. That was Freudian slip on my part, not shower curtains, of course. But we'll have the link. We'll put it up in the stream for you guys. So just make sure that if you want a duplicate, if you want to mask your room,
Yeah, I want to
based
get on
off
this
of the
trend. You know.
exactly yes, piercing is a trend setter, and we will allow you
No,
the
I'm not.
opportunity
No, I'm not.
to buy that same curtain on
Okay.
December 2nd. Show up for that charity stream. The link will be in the chat.
Okay. I have nothing to say. I'm. This is. You're really burning bridges with me, Kevin with the K. I just don't even remember that. Yeah, I know. You're just a puppet of JD. It's okay.
I think we can blame JD, who said that this would be the only interview I get this season. So he's kind of preying on our downfall.
Yikes. But I think regardless, I think we've kind of ran this interview on for long enough. But
Yeah.
I do want to say, Toaster, thank you for joining us for this interview. It's definitely been one of the more interesting ones that we've had. And with that being said, I think that's going to be it for us, everyone. Thank you for coming to the Midwest R6 Egg server. I just saw that you called me Young Sheldon. Stop that. Stop that right now. I don't know who you're calling Young Sheldon, but it better not be me. But no, it is me. Stop it. But with that being said, that's going to be it for Midwest R6. And this has been me, Piercing DN, Kevin with the K. Kevin, you got any final thoughts for us before we head out?
It's been a fantastic time. I'm excited for the charity stream. I won't be able to participate, but I will be watching from the sidelines. And of course, for the rest of the season to see in that Final Four how everything is going to shape up.
Yeah, we want all the smoke from UC, DU. We want all the smoke from everyone.
Awesome. All right. That'll be it for us. Thank you, everybody. Have a good night. We'll see you
Next
around.
week.